All right, good evening, everybody. It is 7 o'clock and we're going to get this meeting rolling. First things first, Deb.
Councillor Williams?
Yes.
Councillor Hansi?
Here.
Councillor Purser?
Here.
Councillor Parrish?
Here.
Councillor Quigley?
Yes.
Councillor Miller?
Present.
Thank you very much. I'm going to ask everybody to rise, take a moment of silence to collect your thoughts, and we'll follow that with the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have an agenda before us. Are there any changes to the agenda?
There are no changes to the agenda, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. I would need a motion to accept.
I move to approve the agenda as put forth.
Second.
We have a first and a second. Any questions, comments? Deb?
Councillor Williams?
Yes.
Councillor Hansi?
Yes.
Councillor Purser?
Yes.
Councillor Parrish?
Yes.
Councillor Quigley?
Yes.
Councillor Miller?
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0.
Thank you very much. We have one proclamation tonight, which is proclaiming November 19th, November 19th to the 25th, sorry, as the 8th Annual Interfaith Awareness Week in the city of Fruita. Aaron Hanty is going to read the proclamation, and then Carleen Goldwaite, hopefully I pronounced that correctly, will hopefully come up and say a few words. Aaron?
Whereas the city of Fruita honors and respects all religious beliefs, cultures, creeds, and races, and is recognized as an inclusive city defined in the November 2018 Original Inclusivity Proclamation, and seeks to learn from those who believe that equal spiritual opportunity and human rights belong to every citizen. And whereas various statistical sources calculate that there are between 4,000 and 5,000 different religions in the world, and that the city of Fruita and Mesa County are home to a number of such different faith paths along with individuals who do not have a religious practice. And whereas the freedom of religion or belief is recognized internationally as a human right, and observances like Interfaith Awareness Week seek to promote and support that right of all individuals. And whereas the Grand Valley Interfaith Network has been networking together since 1977 and offers varied programs designed to bring diverse faith groups into dialogue to better practice peace, harmony, cooperation, and understanding among all people. And whereas the annual Thanksgiving Community Interfaith Service on November 25th, which is the capstone of Interfaith Awareness Week, demonstrates the diverse religious perspectives are committed to working collaboratively to put hope into action. And whereas the ongoing activities of harmony among the diversity of faiths is a vital goal for all people throughout Fruita, North America, and the world. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the City Council of the City of Fruita, on behalf of the citizens of Fruita, proclaim November 19th through 25th, 2025 is the Interfaith Awareness Week in the City of Fruita. Furthermore, the City of Fruita hereby intends to continue annually recognizing the importance of all beliefs in the community and to consider, respect, and value the uniqueness and importance of religious diversity in our community.
Thank you, Aaron. Carleen, would you like to come up and say a few words?
First of all, thank you very much to the counselors, to the city of Fruita for jumping on the bandwagon and helping us promote interfaith awareness. My name's Carleen Goldthwaite. I use they and she pronouns, and I have been a member of the Grand Valley Interfaith Network for a number of years. I'm the vice president, and I come to that organization from one of the founding churches, American Lutheran Church, starting in 1977. It's a tradition with our organization, with Given, to first start with acknowledging that we are standing on land that has been occupied by many indigenous people over the centuries. We lament that the Ute people were forcibly removed from this area and they continue to suffer harm from those policies and the systems that drive them. As a faith-based organization, Given honors those who came before, along with those Indigenous people who continue to call this place home. We support efforts that acknowledge these original stewards of the land and those people that work to eliminate the dehumanization of these ancient peoples. More importantly, what we're really about here tonight is to talk about interfaith awareness. We are so grateful to have the opportunity to bring our theme for 2025, Hope in Action, to the community through the designation of Interfaith Awareness Week and the annual Thanksgiving Multi-Faith Community Service. I will also introduce our Secretary for Given, there's Colleen Mortensen, who comes to us as a representative of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. This proclamation, I think, is especially important this year, a year in which we've seen efforts at the federal level seeking special support for a very specific religious perspective. As a given community, we want to make sure that we are loud and proud in saying all faiths and people with no particular spiritual faith are welcome here. In this coming week, we lift up our common humanity. We're reminded that all benevolent faiths hold similar beliefs, even though we may state them in a different way. Chief among these shared values are kinship with and responsibility to all other humans, care for creation, welcome of the stranger or outsider, advocating and embracing the powerless and the marginalized, emphasizing peace through the world and right relationships with each other, paths to spiritual and personal growth, and all religions express a hope for the future. The reality is that we are all in this world and this life together, and our various faith traditions and practices encourage us to be there for each other on this journey we call life. We again thank the Fruita City Council for your support, and we invite everyone to the Thanksgiving service, which is a week from tonight at American Lutheran Church. You can find information on Grand Valley Interfaith Network website. We will have American Sign Language interpreters available, and this year for the first time, we're going to have special activities and things for kids to start encouraging them at an early age to embrace the fact that not everybody goes to the same church that you go to, and that's okay. So we'd love to have you all show up. The service will be live streamed on Given's YouTube channel, and we did bring some interfaith bookmarks for folks. If you would like one, just throw your hand up and my lovely assistant is going to get you one. This is an indicator of how different religious connections phrase things. So we've got one here from the Christian perspective that says, I'm giving you a new commandment. Just as I have loved you, you should love each other. And that comes from the Christian Bible, the book of John, chapter 13. We find the same thing in Islam. The capacity to learn is a gift. The ability to learn is a skill. The willingness to learn is a choice. Judaism tells us there's no problems, only opportunities for growth. And so as we look through a variety of various religious traditions, we see that they're all dedicated to helping us be better versions of ourselves in our relationships, and to create a better world. So thank you very much for, in this year especially, supporting interfaith awareness.
Thank you. And you don't get to leave that easily. No. There's at the proclamation picture. Yes.
I appreciate you guys. If I take a picture, that's all. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you. Can I just say one more thing that I was especially excited when I sent the draft proclamation to your admin support person, and she said, I checked into this, and you don't need an approval. This is one that's pre-approved. Said this the new wording every year, so it says a lot to me about whose long-term commitment to say we welcome everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. With that, we're going to go ahead and move into the public participation and consent agenda. This portion of our meeting is set aside for City Council to listen to comments from the public about items that are not on tonight's agenda or items that appear on the consent agenda. Consent agenda items are those for which all conditions or requirements have already been met, and they are typically approved with a single motion without separate discussion. We welcome and value your input to help maintain a welcoming, respectful, and productive environment. We ask that there be no clapping, cheering, booing, jeering, or sign holding. This helps ensure that everyone, regardless of their viewpoint, feels comfortable sharing their thoughts. Each speaker will have 3 minutes, and we will ask that you begin by stating your full name and address for the record. If you have materials that you would like to share with council, please hand them to City Clerk Deb Woods so that they can be entered into the public record and distributed appropriately. While council will not respond during this portion of the meeting, please know that we are listening. We appreciate you taking the time to participate in this very important process. With that, would like to open up the floor to anybody that would like to come up and talk about anything on consent or that's not on the agenda. Would anybody like to come up?
Hi.
Hey there.
No, I am.
We're not supposed to talk back.
Tessa Bynum, 255 North Ash Street. I come tonight with questions and wishes for transparency. First, I want to thank you for making sure that the residents of Fruita have everything that they need and for also ensuring that the Food Bank of the Rockies has everything that they need. After that, Resolution 2542 requests $75,000 in additional funds to cover legal fees for the legal program. And while the resolution meets the minimum requirements for transparency to amend the budget, it is bare bones and it lacks a lot of transparency. And while I understand and respect that some details are privileged, the public can be informed in general terms which categories of legal fees necessitated an additional $75,000. The importance of increasing transparency and ensuring clarity, especially when the legal budget hasn't changed since 2023, is impactful and, in my opinion, worth considering. So please consider and remember that in Fruita, the core values define who we are: fun, respectful, united, innovative, transparent, and authentic. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else that would like to come up and speak on anything that's on the consent or not on the agenda? All right, seeing none, I'm going to go ahead and close public comment. So thank you. So with that, bringing it back to council, we have a consent agenda. Does anybody have any questions, comments on any item that is on the consent?
I have a comment on item C, a question, really. It's not really about you tell me if we need to discuss this some other spot in tonight's meeting. But in regards to the lease of the billboard, also in the cover sheet, it talks about other things that may go underneath the billboard and that the FTAC might be working on with the city for that. I recall in our conversation that council would be part of those conversations as well, although I didn't see that necessarily reflected in the cover sheet. So I'm just asking for clarity on that, as it feels like that's a very public and obviously prime spot, and that maybe before things get approved to go on there, that it's my understanding that council would be part of that conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. And the Fruita Tourism Advisory Council, with anything, whether it's with this billboard or the silos that's included in the budget next year, it is a recommending body to the council. So we'd make sure if there are things of interest that council be interested in, they can make a recommendation. Then council has final approval over those.
Thank you.
Of course.
I just want to add to the same topic that I know it's in consent agenda, but we had multiple community conversations, and I think it was nice that we could come to a good consensus to how we can utilize those billboards for the whole community in a full proactive approach with other things. So I really appreciate that we did all that.
Thank you. Anything else?
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve the consent agenda as before.
But first, First and a second. Any other questions or comments? I'll say it was looking at the financials. It was nice to see sales tax revenue and some of those other revenues making a comeback. So that was good to see. But any other comments, questions? All right.
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, I could make a very quick comment too on the legal fees as well. So that is to get us through the rest of the year, and we haven't changed budget. We keep on thinking that each year is going to be a normal year for legal, but we have things that have come up that continue to surprise us. So $75,000 is the ask to get us through November and December. We haven't spent all that yet for legal, but we were involved in several unique projects this year. 19 Road and all the land acquisition associated with that took up a large chunk of our legal fees. Also, the Oaks project and negotiating terms with the developer to make sure that our contribution that the city is making towards that project reflects in some sort of restricted covenant on the project throughout the life of the affordability. And we had a lot of core requests this year as well, which was very new. So maybe next year will be a down year for legal, but not quite sure yet. But there has been a lot of kind of one-offs or potentially one-offs that is why we're over. And then hopefully that 75,000 will get us through the rest of the year and we'll have some savings. But you never know what can come up with legal expenses.
Thank you.
Counselor Hansi,
Yes.
Counselor Purser,
Yes.
Counselor Parrish,
Yes.
Counselor Quigley,
Yes.
Counselor Miller,
Yes.
Counselor Williams.
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0.
Great. Thank you very much. We have on our action items, we've got 3 items. The first one being ordinance 2025-19, which this is a second reading and ordinance annexing approximately 27.46 acres of property located at 615 L Road in the city of Fruita. And our planning director, Henry Hempel, you are up.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. Nice to be with you tonight. The application before you and my presentation, just to somewhat streamline all the information into one presentation as opposed to breaking it down twofold. I'd like to just get that kind of out there on the record. Tonight before you is an annexation of an approximately 40-acre parcel located at 1615 L Road. The parcel is needing to be annexed in serials or 2 phases due to the size and the contiguity requirements in order to meet those state statute requirements. This is a second reading for both ordinances, and at the conclusion of the presentation, there will be needed 2 different motions and 2 different votes on both of these ordinances, 2025-19 and 2025-20. Again, I just consolidate these for transparency and to kind of shorten up the information. It would be the same presentation twice. This is land development application 2025-17. It's known as the 16 and L Road serial annexation. And the property is jointly owned by the city of Fruita and Mesa County School District. We own about 2/3 of that property, and the school district owns the next third. It's located at 1615 L Road. And again, it's approximately 40 acres. The survey includes the right-of-way, so it is more or less 40 acres in size. To acknowledge the legal notice portion of this, we do send out legal notice postcards in a 350-foot buffer area. That map on the right shows all the property owners who received legal notice postcards. Our code requires the 350-foot radius, but the properties nearby are fairly large, and so we're unable to reach 20 unique properties. So that's why we keep going out. That's why the blue highlighted parcels are so spread out than you would normally see with an application in our downtown. The postcard snip on the left side is what language all those folks received in legal notice postcards. Legal notice posting on the property. We put these two signs. One is for the rezone application, which we'll hear following this presentation in action. And then the other one is for the annexation. And so we put one on 16 Road and one on L Road, or two on each, so showing the public which applications are being heard and when and how to provide comment and what applications they are. Something that's used a lot with annexations, nearly all of them, is the urban or the future land use map that we have in our comprehensive plan. Our comprehensive plan shows this property more highlighted or zoomed in. On the right side is the annexation location. And you can see there it's in a green zone district, but it is within our urban growth boundary, and we have planned on having this in the city for quite some time, not just this comprehensive plan, but the previous one to that. So I know I busted this out last time, and I'm going to bust it out again. I've got some transitions in here to kind of illustrate some of the high level things in our comprehensive plan that help make decisions as staff and give direction or recommendations to the Planning Commission, the City Council, and the public. So the first one is our planning influence area. This is joint influence area with Mesa County. They've got AFT zoning, but also URR zoning. And it's really a way to kind of buffer land uses from the county's perspective and land uses from the city's perspective so that we can jointly plan ahead for future development of parcels if and when that comes up. Then we have our urban growth boundary. This one, everything within this urban growth boundary are parcels that are supported to be annexed and zoned at appropriate times at the appropriate zoning designations as they move forward. This one in particular is recommended to be community services and recreation. This zone district includes open space, as you can see the big salt wash there on the east side or the right side of this parcel highlighted in green. But we also have our school district owned properties, city owned properties, and a number of different parks within the city too. So those are the zoning land uses that are supported with this application, and the subsequent hearing also proposes action on the community services and recreation zone district following the future land use map in our comprehensive plan. We also have a master plan that supports this parcel being incorporated into the city that definitely has more of an open space or active site and not necessarily growth and development as you normally see close by urbanized land. So here we, in our FROST plan, our Parks, Health, Recreation, and Open Space plan, does support this parcel being open space with trails nearby and cutting through. The reason I bring up the comprehensive plan is it's a major factor or criteria that we need to consider when we review annexation applications. Does it meet the requirements of state statute? Is it compatible and does it meet our urban growth boundary and our comprehensive plan? And I preface those maps to say that yes, it meets those criteria. There are 9 criteria to consider in section 17.17.050A. Again, it must meet the state statute requirements with 1/6 contiguity. We've established that through resolution hearings to determine eligibility in previous hearings. Can it be served with utilities or city services? The property can be and has been served with police services in a joint effort with the Sheriff's Office of Mesa County. That's really the primary service that's provided out there. There's no sanitary sewer close by, but that doesn't have to actually be provided right now if we're going to annex. But can it be? You know, we haven't planned for a sewer line extension. Growth and development is going towards 19 Road, and we've obviously tried to manage growth and development along 19 Road in an efficient manner. In this case, the annexation proceedings just align with our comprehensive plan. And, you know, are we planning for this to be in the city? Yes, absolutely. And it does meet those criteria. Then does the area meet or can meet existing infrastructure standards set forth by the city? Yes, it can. With the proposed land uses that may happen in the future, you know, 16 and L Road is a rural collector. And so those roads are currently serving the property effectively and efficiently right now. And there's no plans for urbanized development on this particular parcel in either direction that we foresee. And so zoning it in a subsequent hearing item under the ordinance, community services and recreation makes a ton of sense, which is why it's recommended that way in our comprehensive plan. To touch on eligibility of contiguity, we have talked about this before, but just for the record and for the public, contiguity may be established by the annexation of one or more parcels in a series, which is why we called it the series annexation, which annexations may be completed simultaneously and considered together for the purposes of public hearing, which is, again, summing up why I wanted to bring this as one presentation simultaneously in accordance with state statute so that we're all on the same page with the decisions that are being made tonight. There we go. So resolution 2025-39 established contiguity of serial 1 annexation, and resolution 2025-40 established contiguity for serial 2 annexation. The ordinances are in order as they are printed on your agenda, and suggested motions within this presentation will follow that same order: serial annexation 1 first and 2 next, after a motion and a second and a discussion. Review comments and public comments. No reviewer expressed any concerns with this annexation. We have not received any written public comments. We did receive public testimony at the Planning Commission meeting, mostly about expectations on what might happen there in the future. The Planning Commission recommended approval by a vote of 6-0 at their October 14th public hearing. And to sum up and conclude my presentation on the overall report on this annexation, the suggested motion can be found on page 59 of the council packet, and staff recommends approval of annexation serial 1 2025-19. Thank you.
Thank you. With that, since we are the applicant on that, I'd like to open it up for public comment. Would anybody like to speak on ordinance 2025-19 in the second reading? All right. Oh, I'm sorry. And once again, if you could please state your full name and address for the record, and you have 3 minutes.
Justin Garska. I'm a late of 1183 Road. There's several concerns about annexing again. You know, he's talking about that it can be serviced by the municipalities here, for the police department, sheriff's department. I've been around that area for most of my life, and I could count the number of times I've seen anybody out there as far as any kind of policing or anything else along those lines. You know, that's one concern. 16 Road, the traffic on that road is atrocious. You know, it's 45-mile-an-hour speed limit zone. Nobody polices that. And what's going to happen when you annex it in there? Nothing. Those are my concerns there. And the other thing is, why is we're getting out of the ruralness of it. This is farmland. Let's leave it farmland. And I just feel that that's getting taken away from us in our daily lives. And I think it needs to stay that way. You know, I was told that the push for this is because they can't put the barn there, the buses over at the local anymore. If you want to do that, then annex in the small portion of it and leave the bigger portion alone to farmland. I don't see how this is going to benefit the city of Fruita, annexing in, you know, farmlands, taken away from the farmers that are there. And what's going to happen when you do annex it? Is it going to become dirt until you guys decide to do something with it? Or is it going to continue to be farmland? Those are the concerns that I have right now.
Thank you, Justin.
Mike Etchart, 1276 16 Road. My family owned this parcel and we were the ones that sold it to the city of Fruita. Thank you very much for saying. I know what it's like. Lived here my whole life as well. I just had a couple of questions. So I'm obviously worried about urban growth in our small area, and you, just like he was saying, try a 45-mile-an-hour speed limit through that area. Try driving a tractor. Even if you have your signals on, people pass you all the time, and it's just changing. And that, unfortunately, change does happen, and I understand that. My question is, it's a 40-acre parcel, and we're annexing 27.46 acres. What's happening to the other approximate 13 acres? So is the school district bus area not going to be annexed? That's my question. And that's the part that should be annexed, not the other part. The other thing is our family is currently leasing back that property from the city of Fruita. Does that change the property taxes? What's going to happen there? Is it going to be so astronomically high that farming is not even an option anymore? Those are just my questions. Then the other questions we also have, the idea of having a park, keeping it as open space sounds really great. Are there going to be restrooms? And how are the restrooms going to be taken care of? Are we going to start running sewer to that area? We're going to have trouble with vagrants, just like the city of Grand Junction does. Just some questions that I have, and concerns, of course, from a native Fruitian. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else that would like to come up and speak?
Yeah, David Hutton, 1628 L Road. Along with these gentlemen too, L Road, nobody does 45. There's people screaming 60, 70 down there. I'm not sure a traffic impact study's been done, but now we got the bus parking lot there. The lights are outrageous. People in and out, buses honking in the morning. I just can't see why we want to annex that and rezone it now after you've owned it for 17 years and don't have a plan. That's my concern, and the traffic. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Is there anybody else that would like to come up?
Hi, my name is Marilee Ost, 1730 Ptarmigan Ridge Circle. And I was going to concur with all of you, of course, all of you gentlemen, especially about the speeding. There's a blind hill at the corner of 16 and L, where if you do not stop, you will be hit. You may be killed, first of all. And then also, maybe I understood the map incorrectly. And to Dr. Etchart's point, are we annexing the serialization? Is it backwards? So the small part should be annexed first because it's in the continuity piece. The large piece second. So if, maybe I misunderstood the map. So that would be my part in that. And of course, everything else.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to come up and speak? All right. Thank you for all the public comment. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and close it and bring it back to Henry.
Okay, cool. Regarding some of these comments as more of a rebuttal, because we are the applicant, definitely understand that there are some traffic concerns regardless of the location, but something that is not considered in an annexation are the traffic impacts. The traffic impacts are considered when a land use is proposed at a certain time and acknowledged through a traffic study and certain elements and studies that help give us a better idea of the land use that's being proposed and some of those impacts that it does create. Where the contiguity concerns or kind of questions, let me see if I can get to the map. So the reason it's happening in a more of like a phase or a serial phase, it's annexing the entire portion. When the property was originally surveyed, the contiguity required by the state is 1/6 of the entire property. Does 1/6 of it touch the existing city limits? It was off by 10 feet of contiguity. And so state statute, like I recalled earlier, allows a municipality to annex it in serials or phases to establish contiguity. It happens a lot in other municipalities on the Front Range and Grand Junction, where they will flagpole annex roadways to get somewhere. And so they can establish contiguity with each portion of right-of-way. In this case, we're not necessarily doing that, but we're annexing in phases a 40-acre parcel and doing it in two parts, but also doing it simultaneously. So we're not inviting you to another meeting. So the way that it has to be done is the south 27 acres touches the city limits on the east side. And so why that happens, and that gives us contiguity for the north part. That's a good question. Yeah. So 16 Road is right here on this side. And so a portion of the property, the 40 acres, actually is within the 16 Road right-of-way and the L Road right-of-way. So if they didn't have that, the deed, we would definitely have the contiguity, kind of just do it at once. But again, state statute recommends that if a municipality is going to do it, you might as well do it simultaneously for transparency purposes for the public. So I should be talking to you, City Council, but yeah, it's a good question. Doesn't happen a whole lot. The last time we did it was 2013. So normally the parcels do touch the city limits, at least 1/6. So that's why it's been done in two phases.
Henry, can you talk about the question about taxes?
Yes. So with the property continuing to be owned by either and or both the school district and the city of Fruita, that should not affect the taxes at all. If it does get zoned community services and recreation, and it is a park, I would suggest that it would not have any tax implications either. And they're correct. They did sell us the property a while back, and there is an agreement that that be part of the future development is to kind of maintain some of that family heritage that the Etcherts are proud of in this area. You click around there, their family they're definitely farming that area. So
Is that our plan, is to continue to allow them to use the lease?
yeah.
Is the lease state?
The renewal happened about a year ago. I believe is that a 5 year?
years, yeah.
It's a 5-year
With renewal.
farm lease agreement.
Yeah.
And so if we break it down like this, the kind of the serial 1 or the serial 2 area closest to L Road, if you look at the aerial photos, it does not appear that is, good soil to farm on, but the south portion it definitely is. Yeah, head nods.
We don't have any plans like immediately to make that a park. I just want to.
No.
So you're referring to the question for public use in restrooms? Okay. All right. Henry, anything else?
I don't have anything else to add.
With that, I'd like to bring it back to council for questions.
Those were all really great questions.
Really great question. In regard to speed limits and that being looked at and taken care of and policed, or in this case, it sounds like not policed, would annexing it actually increase the patrol of the area to maybe help reduce the speed limit? Just curious. I don't have a take either way.
Reduce the speed limit or
I'm sorry, not
enforcement.
enforce if the speed limit is not being honored, would annexing it allow for more enforcement
Right,
there.
because right now, is it being enforced by Mesa County, and then with annexing in, it now becomes part of the city and the city's responsibility
Right, that,
for patrolling and maintaining.
exactly. Thanks.
The parcel will be incorporated into the city. All the rights of ways nearby will not. So we'll continue to engage in enforcement activities based on our joint partnership with Mesa County's Sheriff's Office and Fruita Police Department. So if hypothetically, let's say something happens there and Mesa County can't get there in time, Fruita PD would then be directed to help.
But the overall patrol would still say.
Would still-
Mesa County.
Correct.
Annexation doesn't change
Current practice.
current.
Could we maybe share the ways that they can request more patrol out there by Mesa?
Sure. Yeah, definitely. We can share some concerns that are brought up by the members of the public about concerns with traffic and speeding. Absolutely with Mesa County.
So this is Mary Elizabeth Geiger, City Attorney. Good evening.
There.
I just want to remind council that right now you're just considering whether or not this meets the criteria for annexation. And then once a property is annexed, there can certainly be further discussions about whether or not additional patrol needs to happen or should happen or whatever the cooperation between Fruita PD and Mesa County may be out there. But that is not something that is part of the consideration or statutory requirements for annexation.
Thank you.
Apologize for my cart getting before the horse. Thank you.
That's okay.
Same.
Pat, any other questions?
I appreciate the presentation and the comments. Excuse me. And I appreciate, Henry, you explaining the process, the more global process. Right now, we're just in an early step, and that a lot of the concerns will be addressed as any potential changes would happen, and not just with this. That doesn't really change any aspects as of now. So I appreciate you communicating that to everyone. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? All right, with that, we would need that.
So I guess I'm just gonna ask some stupid stuff and I don't really care that I look stupid. So typically to me, it's always been when we annex stuff, it was because this is really basic again, I'm gonna be stupid right now and I really don't care. It always seemed like it was just somebody wanted to build something or something, and so they wanted to incorporate it into the city, so that was, for lack of a better way of explaining that. So for this particular piece, what is it being used for right now? It's being used for these buses, right? To some degree.
Yeah, the school bus or the school district has parked their buses that they use at this property.
And that's what the continued use is planned to be, correct?
That's my understanding, yes.
So what is the benefit of the annexation on this piece? And again, I'm sorry, I'm asking really stupid stuff. I think we should just back up a little bit and just really kind of lay this out.
Sure.
So I'm going to jump in again, Counselor Williams. I apologize. I can see Henry laughing. He's the only one I
Sure.
can see. So annexation can occur when the property owners petition to annex, and there doesn't have to be any reason other than
Okay,
they
all
meet
right.
the criteria for annexation, which is the contiguity that Henry talked about earlier. So as long as 100% of the owners of the property have signed off on the petition, then, they meet the criteria, then, that is why they want to annex is not part of the consideration.
Okay. So
Is that, I appreciate that legal advice. I'm going to also just get a little more clarification on that if we can, because is it not also kind of our job to make sure that it fits within the intent of the comprehensive plan? And is Counselor Williams' question not allowed within that context?
Well, because that would come into play when once it's annexed, whatever the owner then decides to apply for development, then of course at that time you are considering whether or not that proposed development or that proposed use meets the comprehensive plan. There isn't a proposed development on this. And again, that's not, sometimes people, let me back up for a second. A property owner could submit kind of at the same time, here's my application to annex, I meet the criteria for annexation, and then kind of almost immediately, and here's my development proposal. And there can be times when those two go hand in hand, and the city might work with that owner to enter into a specific development agreement. But it is my understanding that's not the case here. There isn't, a development proposal on the table. And again, that's a separate issue from annexation.
But
Perfect.
do we have
Yes.
any flexibility since we are the owners of the property?
So, Mr. Mayor, Mary Elizabeth, just wanted to interject real quick. I think that one of the things that's important to note here is that, like, when property owners sign to petition for annexation, we are required to zone the property within 90 days. And so effectively, that is essentially us signaling, since we are an owner, that we want to exercise our land use control over this property, which means that any decisions that happen would happen from a regulatory standpoint with this body rather than with the commissioners. And if you recall, in the AFT zone district, the uses are fairly broad. And so, the CSR, community services, recreation, I think that we've made the sort of staff recommendation that that fits with the spirit of how the property was conveyed. And since it's essentially our institutional zone district, and also that the remaining piece that is north of that drainage would have to go through essentially our land use process if something was submitted for a permanent use, where we could balance kind of all the things that have been mentioned before relative to offsetting any of the uses that maybe are called into question from a compatibility standpoint. But essentially, the annexation and then the zoning are incidental of one another. And so it's essentially to force this process into the future to happen as things are proposed, which is a total hypothetical, but that's the reality, is that, we can exercise our land use control.
So as we're looking at this for the annexation on this, basically all we're looking at is see if it matches criteria. There's no other judgment whether we decide.
Not at this stage. It's black and white right now.
Yeah, but I mean,
Our scope is
because we're
limited.
so we don't have
Super limited current.
once something's annexed, it comes under our covering basically. So
Correct.
whether we feel comfortable with this or not, and I'm not saying you guys don't, if it follows the criteria, it doesn't matter. We just have to accept it. Okay, that's what I needed to know.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And I said I was going to be stupid, and I totally was, and I don't have any problem with it.
No.
No, those are all great questions.
I just needed that clarified because I wanted to understand what it was doing now and what it was going to be and why we were doing that. So
Those are great questions. And I think, as Dan pointed out, I mean, what's immediately following is the zoning, and so that is really, your statement of kind of what you anticipate, or, how that fits in the city's development process, because they're going to be limited. These parcels will be limited to whatever zone district they come in under.
Sure.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
James, anything else?
No, I'm good.
Aaron?
No.
Nothing.
No.
All right. With that, we would need a motion.
I move to adopt ordinance 2025-19, annexing approximately 27.46 acres of property located at 1615 L Road, known as the 1615 L Road Serial 1 annexation to the city of Fruita.
Second.
We have a first and a second. Any additional questions or comments from council? Nope. Deb?
Counselor Purser?
Yes.
Counselor Parrish?
Yes.
Counselor Quigley? Counselor Miller?
Yes.
Counselor Williams?
Yes.
Counselor Hansi?
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0.
Thank you very much, which now brings us to the sequential ordinance 2025-20, the second reading, an ordinance annexing approximately 13.7 acres of property located at 1615 L Road into the city of Fruita. And again, our planning director, Henry Hempel, is here to present.
Great. Everything I said before on record, I'd like to duplicate for this one, and I'd like to present to you the suggested motion. It's carried on page 101 of the council packet. If you do have any other questions regarding why this is going on, and I'd be glad to answer. But staff recommendation that since Serial 1 annexation was approved by a vote and by ordinance, that we can take action on ordinance 2025-20.
Great, thank you. So before we bring it back to council, we'd like to open this up to public comment. Does anybody have anything they'd like to say on ordinance 2025-20? So for the record, once again, please state your full name and your address, and you have 3 minutes. Thank you.
Sure. My name's Joe Etchart, 1274 16 Road. It's my brother Mike. They came up and spoke earlier. They didn't talk a lot about the bus parking lot. And you mentioned you didn't know a lot about it, but just want to let you know they put this parking lot out there and these really bright lights, really bright lights. And Dave Hutton mentioned it before. It doesn't have anything to do with this process, but I just want you guys aware of it. If you would drive out there and take a look at it, it's obnoxious. We have like zero light out there, and that parking lot light is like fluorescent. It's obnoxious, to say the least. So that was pretty much what I wanted to mention. And you just drive out there and look at it. It's completely out of character. The fencing around the parking lot, it looks like bus parking for a prison. The fencing it's just, sorry, it's a huge eyesore. We have to look at it. And the light at night it's really bad. And then I didn't realize about the honking until my neighbor told me about it. They honk the horns apparently before they leave, each one of them.
No.
You know, before 6 a.m, you're out in quiet farmland and you have to listen to that and the bright lights. And they did have temporary lights that literally shined. I'm a half a mile up the road, literally shined into my windows like there's a headlight. I took pictures of it. I could do hand puppets on the window. I'm half a mile away. So, but anyway, just want to let you know it's a sore spot because they threw it up without any public notice or anything. And the driveways for it are not in compliance. It's 45 miles an hour. They're not in the right distance. Has nothing to do with this, but I would ask you in the future when this, when you guys annex this, please do something about the lights, do something about that obnoxious bus parking lot. Please go out and look at it. Sorry, just my 2 cents. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing.
Is there anybody else that would like to come up and comment on ordinance 2025-20? All right, seeing none, going to go ahead and close public comment and bring it back to council with remembering what Mary Elizabeth just said in terms of the scope of discussion. So,
Nothing for this matter.
Okay.
All right, we need a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I move to adopt ordinance 2025-20, annexing approximately 13.7 acres of property located at 1615 L Road, known as the 1615 L Road Serial 2 annexation into the city of Fruita.
First, second.
Second.
We have a first and a second. Any additional questions, comments? Council? All right, seeing none. Deb?
Counselor Parrish?
Yes.
Counselor Quigley? Counselor Miller?
Yes.
Counselor Williams? Counselor Hansi?
Yes.
Counselor Purser?
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0.
Thank you. And I do think earlier I said we had 3 items. I apologize. We have 4. But next up is item C, Ordinance 2025-21, which is a second reading, an ordinance amending the official zoning map of the city of Fruita by zoning approximately 40 acres of property located at 615 L Road to a community service and recreation zone. Our planning director, Henry Hempel, you are back up.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. For the record, I'll be giving a presentation tonight on the second reading of ordinance 2025-21, establishing a zone type for the recently annexed parcel located at 1615 L Road. As I like to do before we get into kind of the approval criteria and justification and recommendation, lay out there for the record, legal notice. We are required by law to legally notice parcels within a 350-foot radius or up to 20 unique properties. With this, the parcel is, and the parcels around this property are fairly large, and so we had to expand that legal notice buffer, which is why you see the highlighted properties go out fairly long in all directions in order to get the 20 unique properties. That also means that if there are duplicate property owners, you got to keep going. So we got to 20, and then we're required to do that 15 days prior to the public hearing for the Planning Commission, and sets the hearing date for not only the Planning Commission meeting, but also the City Council meeting, which is what we're meeting about tonight. And then there's the language from the postcards is there on the left side. That's the postcard received by all those property owners highlighted in blue. We put legal notice postings on the subject property. Usually one set of these are fine on a property, but with this being a corner lot and such a large piece of property, we felt that it was necessary to put it on both sides, the 16 road side and the L road side. This invites any passing by citizens, make them aware of what land use application is pending and when to come to public hearings or how to ask questions of staff. We also do a legal notice posting in the newspaper. That's 15 days prior to tonight's meeting. And then we post one outside on our public notice or legal notice sign outside in our parking lot. So the reason we're here tonight is to zone a piece of property in accordance with our land use process. And what we use here is our comprehensive plan and our future land use map. Our future land use map recommends a community services or recreation zone for this parcel. You can see that it is somewhat surrounded by supported residential parcels. That is unique to the city of Fruita. If you look around to the other parcels that are green and you're familiar with the geography of Fruita, you see that there are city buildings, parks, washes, or natural spaces. And so that's what the zone district really supports in this area. It's interesting to note that a portion of this area, or a large portion of this area, is within a floodplain. And so another reason why this parcel is strategic in regards to its community services and recreation portion. So to read word for word from our land use code regarding the definition of a CSR zone, it says that the purpose of the CSR zone is to provide public and private recreational land, facilities, schools, fire stations, libraries, fairgrounds, and other public and quasi-public lands and buildings. The zone includes open space areas, which are set aside to prevent environmental damage to sensitive areas and to limit development in areas that are unsuitable for development due to flooding or geologic hazards. The CSR zone may be applied to parks, outdoor recreation facilities, open space corridors, environmental areas, trails, recreational facilities, and similar areas. The CSR zone helps implement the open space, trails, and parks policies of the city's master plan. I think this really speaks to the intent of why the city of Fruita and Mesa County School District 51 jointly purchased this property many years ago with the anticipation of building a school and or a large community park here. And that's embedded in the sale of the property, is to kind of keep with the heritage of the open space and the agricultural types of land uses there, and create an amenity for the citizens of Fruita in the future, to provide for some low impact active open space for the public to enjoy. And so that's really why we have this CSR zone, and why our comprehensive plan does support this in this area. Supporting this zone district and having a recommendation from staff is in alignment with our comprehensive plan as well. So section 17.09070 considers 5 criteria. Not all need to be met, but the first one does, is zoning compatibility with surrounding land uses. And the area surrounding this parcel is mostly agricultural, or, a single family dwelling unit on a fairly large piece of property, whether or not it's used for, kind of commercial farming operations, or more or less kind of a smaller, hobby farm type of land use. But having a CSR zone in this area and in this location really does support continuation of compatibility in the surrounding land uses. So really low impact type of land use, and bringing this into the city and incorporating a zone district allows the city to have more land use control of this parcel when it comes to zoning ordinances or land use criteria, public processes, or transparency about expectations moving forward is essential in, our core services that the city of Fruita takes considerable effort in implementing, and would be consistent with this zone district. And so it does meet the surrounding land uses and with the expected zoning that's recommended by staff and obviously the applicant. It's consistent with the city's master plan. The city's master plan supports a community services and recreation zone type for this parcel. And this zoning application is incidental, or is going along with the annexation application at this time. So like was mentioned before, we're required by law to zone a property upon annexation, and we really like to do that simultaneously with the annexation. So it's much more transparent with the public, and expecting, what's next, so to speak, and inviting them to one meeting instead of multiple hearings throughout the year. Review comments and public comments. No reviewer expressed any concerns, and staff has not received any written public comments at this time. But we did receive public testimony at the Planning Commission meeting. Much of that you heard previously in the annexation ordinance readings. The Fruita Planning Commission recommended approval by a vote of 6-0 at their October 14th, 2025 public hearing. And to conclude my presentation, Mr. Mayor, the suggested motion can be found on page 143 of the City Council packet, and staff recommends approval of the CSR zone district for the 1615 L Road property. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Henry. As before we bring it back to council, would like to open this up for public comment. Would anybody like to come up and speak on ordinance 2025-21 at this time? I will ask you once again the full name and address.
Justin Garska, 1183 16 Road. Annexing this in or rezoning it to CSR, what is that going to do for your bus barn? I mean, you can't have both of them, bus parking or whatever, because having the buses there is not going to benefit the public and the CSR, and the light pollution and everything that entails. So that would be my question.
Thank you, Justin. Is there anybody else that would like to come up and speak on ordinance 2025-21?
Marilee Ost, 1730 Ptarmigan Ridge Circle. I was going to ask the exact same question as Justin. So if CSR changes to a zoning use that isn't compatible with the surrounding area, which it's not right now, I guess my question, and I believe Mary Elizabeth is on the phone, how soon does the bus farm leave? maybe that's not a council question, but it would be one that would sure help the surrounding neighborhood on the atrocious, audacious, obnoxious farm that it is. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anybody else that would like to come up and speak at this time? All right, hearing none, I'm going to go ahead and close public comment. Henry, would you like to address any of the items that were brought up?
Yeah, so it sounds to me that there's some questions from the public regarding if we're annexing and zoning this property, if the land use currently operating becomes either legal non-conforming or not allowed, and if the city has any zoning ordinances to allow it to go away. I think that's what I'm hearing. The zone type does support quasi and public uses in this area. And so the bus parking is allowed. We can check in our zoning ordinances, but any like light pollution or other impacts associated with that bus parking will, once it's zoned into the city, we have 30 days for that ordinance to become effective, and then we can look at what's currently going on the property with regards to some of our nuisance ordinances regarding that.
Just one thing, Henry, also hours of operation.
Who are you?
Sorry, Dan Karras, Assistant City Manager. The other thing that would be subjected to our municipal code would be the hours of operation.
Mary Elizabeth, is that something that you're comfortable with us discussing as part of this?
Sorry, I was having trouble clicking back in. Again, this is a rezone question. It is not a question of what's going to happen next or what the enforcement might be against the uses. I want to just be sure that you guys keep on track of the order of the process. I think as Dan and Henry just explained it, once this is rezoned into a city zone district, the CSR, then that is the zoning that controls. And then the city has control over that, obviously, and not the county anymore. So once it is rezoned, then that is the time for the city, or for if there's citizens or nearby residents who lodge complaints, for all this to be considered as to whether or not it is in compliance with, I think Dan pointed out, hours of operation or light pollution or any of those items. So as far as consideration for rezoning, that's not, or zoning it, excuse me, I guess is a better way to put it, zoning it as a city zone district is not a consideration for that.
But wouldn't
piece
that
of
be some of the
process.
information that we would want to know when we're deciding if that's a zone we want it to be?
My question would be, are there other alternative zones that it could be designated as? I mean, what choices were there? Is this the only zone that it can be used?
I think I would direct that question to Henry. You're right, Councilor Williams, you could consider another zone district, but remember, the zone district is going to control any land use that occurs on the parcel. So you don't want to spot zone just to what is happening there now, because a zone district is what also dictates what can happen in the future and how that can develop. So
No, I get that, but I think we're trying to figure out what those parameters are because we don't know. We don't know what the hours of operation are under this particular zoning.
But I have a maybe, if I may,
Go ahead.
a clarifying question that might help us to some degree. The proposed zone for in a city zoning is the CSR. As the county, it was AFT. Is our CSR as close to the AFT as we have? Like, that's what what's the nearest to the AFT, and is this what's being recommended that?
that is a question for Henry.
Yep. Just looking straight at
I was doing some quick thinking. So thinking about the county's AFT zoning, there are quite a few land uses that are allowed by right that don't include any public participation or kind of expectations for the public regarding, what could happen or what's going to happen. I think we heard it tonight that, the bus parking lot just popped up out of nowhere. Some things in the county happen that way, but I would take pride in our zoning ordinance and the core services that we provide as a municipality, and our comprehensive plan and all the other supporting documents we have that help the city council, staff, planning commission, and others make decisions is the communication aspect of creating expectations for those around that might not be, totally focused on council agendas each night. We In the community survey, communication was a huge thing that we needed to do better on, and we did. The community gave us feedback on that. So that is built into a lot of the strategic goals that the city manager's office has and the city council has as well. And so when we're annexing and zoning property that's going from AFT county zoning to a city zone, is we get to have land use control over that. We get to apply our city ordinances in our municipal code and our land use code that help create expectations for the public. And there's some great questions here in the council. You've got a great perspective on, what the public is asking. I would say that our community services and recreation zone is our lowest impact zone district in our entire code when it comes to development impacts to not only the parcel that it currently, applies to, but the surrounding parcels as well. And so I'd say it's even less of an impact than the AFT zone.
Can I jump in again to that? Just a reminder, though, to council and folks in the audience, this parcel is owned by the city and the school district. Both of those are governmental entities. Both of those, as far as land use goes, are only subject to location and extent. So it's this city can enforce its code. So that kind of goes back to what Dan was saying, if they're, operating hours, noise, lighting. But governments don't, as a general rule, governments don't have to go through a full land use process when they are developing a parcel. And this is true for the city. This is true for the school district. This is true for Mesa County. So if the city were building a new, civic center on a parcel that it owns, it only has to go through what's called location and extent, which is basically, are there services available to serve that use? And, are they complying with building code? So I just want to, there is a distinction between, government owned property and what governments can do on that property and what a private party would be subject to from a land use perspective. So I don't want to get too far in the weeds of the what comes next. Because we do have a government owning this right now. That could change in the future. And so what you're zoning for is, all of that, right? When it changes ownership, what's going to be the controlling zone district?
So a clarifying question, Mary Elizabeth.
Mm-hmm.
So even though the CSR zoning has those noise ordinance, pollution ordinance, and all of that, since we are the government, since we own that property, we do not necessarily have to abide by those same rules?
No. Those are not zoning rules. Those are rules that are in the code. So regardless of a parcel and what the zone is or whatever, there are applicable, you've got noise ordinances. That applies in residential zone districts, that applies, in commercial zone districts, that applies all across the board.
Regardless of who owns it, correct?
Oh, regardless. Yes. This is not a zoning. So noise ordinance, that's why I think Dan brought this up, and that's why I'm talking about it now. Noise, light pollution, I know we talked about speeding, and that's a little different because we've still got county-owned roads, but those are all, code provisions that apply across the board to any piece of property and the use that's happening. Does that make sense? So
That's
you,
what I wanted clarification on. Thank you.
yeah,
That's great.
Yep.
So I guess, tell me if I'm wrong. I look at this that it was county property, or the property was in the county and had a designation of AFT. And the landowners have chosen to annex it into the city of Fruita and change to a similar, per se, zoning to CR.
Which we have to do within 90 days.
And we have to change it to or a zoning that we have, and that's what we feel is appropriate. And then because we do that, we can enforce zoning and other criteria more effectively because it's under our jurisdiction. Right now, it's under county, looser.
Well, it's not under county anymore because you guys just annexed it.
Correct. But the old, yes, I'm saying the old way. So the old way. So previously, and so I'm saying
Previously, the city had no control over land use
that's
control
one
or
of the
code
benefits.
enforcement. Yeah.
And that's what I'm getting at is it's one of the benefits of the city and school district joint owning the property to bring it in under city rules and regulations because it can be better enforced. And with some of the issues and nuisances that we have heard about tonight, that we can better address those. We can talk to the operators and also
Bring it back to what's before us, which is this particular, I don't want to go too far.
Correct.
Bounds, which is the CSR.
Right.
In terms of, I don't remember who asked the question, but in terms of current usage, what most aligns with surrounding, Henry, CSR is the most.
Yeah. And then just to kind of,
We stay within boundaries of what's before us.
Oh, the only issue I have with this, sorry to interrupt you, Henry, but the only issue I do have with this one, the word agricultural is not in there. So I want to protect their right to
be still
able to
ag?
farm there. So I'm sure that it is, but I just want to have that clarified that that is part of what can be done under this zoning, because that's not worded in this new zoning that we have.
sure. Yeah. That's a good question. And it's good to kind of understand what the zoning does allow. We have a chart that breaks it down. It's a few pages long and it covers all of our zone districts and different types of land uses, a few pages. That really kind of tells us what's allowed, what's not allowed, what's conditionally allowed in that specific zone district. But again, remind you that, we're the part owners, 2/3 part owners of this, and just reissued or re-signed a lease, a 5-year lease with the property owners to continue the agricultural land uses that have been on this property for a number of years and would support them to continue that regardless of whether or not it's zoned AFT or City of Fruita. Some of those things are continue to allow to keep happening. We consider those more or less like legal non-conforming types of land uses, and then we consider the impacts that it has. And compatibility is baked into our code in a number of different areas for different approval criteria, and is something that's in criteria number 1, and something that I was going to try to get us back on track of, and the mayor did it as well previously, was to say, these are the approval criteria that we have for a rezone, and it's got to meet 2 of them. The first one is the proposed amendment is compatible with surrounding land uses pursuant to the compatibility section and is consistent with the city's goals, policies, and master plan. And so this zone district most closely aligns with existing and allowed land uses currently in the AFT zone and surrounding land uses that are currently happening right now. And so that's why staff has given a recommendation of meeting that criteria for number 1, plus criteria number 5, which says the zoning amendment is incidental to the annexation of the subject property. And so they're running concurrently. So it is, it does meet 2 of the 5 criteria that we have to consider. And there's some or statements after those criteria. And so we can make a positive or an approval, a recommendation to the Planning Commission and the City Council, which is before you tonight. So, yeah, the term.
I'm trying to walk this balance, but within council, we have the right to make sure we understand the parameters of what we're voting on with this, land use changes. So just on kind of building on your question, which is if we zone this in under CSR, the existing leases are not impacted on the land. And clearly we can't commit what future councils can or cannot or will not do. But there's nothing within this zoning which would not allow for a continuation of an agricultural lease once this one expires.
They could continue.
All right, thank you. Then that's just wanted that clear. I wanted that
So-
nice and clear that they're able to do that.
To give kind of an example of kind of what's happened in the past with properties that have been incorporated into the city at certain economic times in Fruita and not fully developed have continued to function as they have been since before. And so it's nothing in the city's perspective, nothing that's been, utilized in the past is once you're zoned that, you have to do exactly what that says really soon. If economic times occur with this and, it stays as it is, like when we purchased it with the school district, and it just continues to function as is like now, then nothing's going to force them to develop this into a park in the next 5 years.
Thank you. All right, any other questions?
I really appreciate this discussion, though. This is awesome.
Uh-huh.
We're learning a lot about the whole process that most of the time we don't really have to dive in as deep. But I appreciate that they came and brought these concerns because it's huge. The agricultural part of our community is really getting pushed a lot, and a lot of people are getting tired of it. And I really want to make sure that we're clear that farming is a priority here and that we're fighting for people's right to be able to do that. So thank you for taking that time to clarify all that.
And I think one of the positive things is we've been able to clearly communicate, like there's some nuisance issues that are not part of the decision making, but because of what's happening, it can be better addressed. And I think that's a huge benefit to where
I just want to,
I know
I'm just
saying because of everything that can be done, and it's a side benefit from what we're deciding on tonight.
I was just going to say as Henry mentioned about the communication piece, it is very clear based on public engagement that process is working. So thank you.
last chance for questions or comments. Deb? Oh, sorry.
A motion.
Thank you. Gotta have a motion. Just step ahead of it. Can we please get a motion?
Heart, man. I move to adopt ordinance 2025-21, amending the official zoning map of the city of Fruita by zoning approximately 40 acres of property located at 1615 L Road to a community services and recreation zone.
Thank you. Second. We have a first and a second. Any other final questions, concerns, or thoughts? Before we officially hand it back to Deb.
Deb.
Councilor
I do
Quigley?
want to just, since you guys were just talking about this.
All right, so
Man,
we have
I'm
a
out.
first and a second.
We have a first and a second.
Yes, no, I know. So this is just to follow up on the conversation that was just had. I did just go and actually look at the table of uses allowed in the CSR zone district, and agricultural pasture is, that's allowed. So just to confirm what was being said, you can't do a feedlot out there in that zone district, but you can certainly continue the practices that are happening right now.
Awesome.
And I
Thank
mean
you.
commercial feedlots, just to be clear. So
Thank you.
So,
yeah, you're welcome.
are you still comfortable with the motion?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Still good with second? Made the second. I seconded it. All right.
I've got it.
Now, Deb.
Counselor Quigley,
Yes.
Counselor Miller,
Yes.
Counselor Williams, Counselor Hansi, Counselor Purser,
Yes.
Counselor Parrish. Motion passes 6-0.
Thank you. Thank you, council. Thank you, public. Thank you, Henry.
Say stuff that's not.
Later.
Later.
In our council action.
Council action
reports.
report.
We've got, we got it later.
I love this.
Yeah.
Need to be here, guys. All right, we have our fourth item, which is 2026 annual budget, public hearing and presentation by our city manager. Shannon, you are up.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council. This is our fourth and kind of final presentation of the proposed 2026 budget. Tonight we'll be covering economic health and development. So we'll talk about our community development department. We'll also discuss some of our smaller funds, our economic development fund, our housing authority fund, our marketing and promotion fund. And then we will conclude it with a summary of all funds. So the budget overview portion of the budget. So Henry is actually going to kick this one off, or do you want me to go first? Do you want me? Henry may be kicking this one off very shortly, but just a very quick reminder, yeah, the budget, we'll have one more discussion on the budget at our workshop next week, and then barring any different feedback from council, it will go for adoption at that first meeting in December. So I'll throw it over to Henry to cover community development and also, yeah.
Talking tonight.
Yeah.
I got a quick one. I'm good.
Okay.
Cool. This is my first budget presentation before any city council, so I'm prepared to answer some questions.
Aaron?
Oh, I'm going to give you some extra.
Okay. Luckily, there's not a lot of changes, and they're all good changes. To kick it off and kind of recap and talk about our department and be a little bit prideful about the hard work that's happening in our office that I'm super proud of. Is the year in review. Obviously, we're talking about it in November, and the year's not over. So obviously, more permits and more work to still be done this year. And we'll keep it going into next year as the impacts continue to hit our office. But you can see here, we've issued almost 1,600 building permits. That is way up from last year and probably the two previous years combined.
Looks like new roofs and stuff like that.
That includes 1,125 new roofs. Wow. Re-roofs. So that's a lot.
I was just trying to understand and make sure.
Some of them have solar on them.
50% of our roof.
I was going to say, how many buildings
That's
do you
in
have?
50.
Right, I just wanted a clarification. I didn't look like just a whole new building.
So that's a quarter of all of our buildings. Wow.
It's a huge impact. And we've, again, like can't say this enough about the staff that works in our office and all the other offices, but our building department and our front, day-to-day operations has been so busy. We still find time to joke around with each other and, keep it loose and not be, just buried in the work. It's also awesome that the city council a few years ago kind of said, let's do the building department thing. Let's get some software that helps streamline that. And I cannot tell you how far behind we would be if we did not have that. It's just, it's crazy to think about. We try not to think about all the work that we're doing and what we've done and what could happen if like all of those permits were actually paper copies. Oh my God, this building is not big enough for that. And we do not have the staying power to handle that type of pressure. And so thank you, council.
I feel really, really bad for realtors 25 years from now because the renegotiating of 1,125 roofs is going to be, I'm glad I won't be part of that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. So again, like I could say it over and over again, many different ways, but we've done a lot this far and, the numbers speak for themselves, but again, like the staff has not, gotten to a point of burnout. We all take time. We celebrate each other, their wins. We take loads off each other's backs when we can see that they're feeling the pressure. And obviously that does mount up. Our building department's not here, but congratulations and kudos to them for handling themselves so professionally in a time of like increased workload for sure. some of the kind of other things that we've been doing, just to highlight some things that have closed out or are currently underway. The negotiation of the property north of the Hot Tomato, not the house, but the vacant property next to that, north of that. I feel like that's been a great tool that the city is, that you all have directed staff, and staff has executed tremendously to get that accomplished in our downtown. And I know more to come on that, Steve and team. But it's ours, it's used, and it does create a positive impact for our community from a parking downtown standpoint. So proud of that. The Oaks redevelopment project. There's a picture of the Oaks demolition. I I drove by it. Like, a lot can happen in a short amount of time, and that was crazy to see this morning. But again, with the direction of council and keeping with our strategic plan and our comp plan and making a true investment into affordable or workforce housing has been really cool to be a part of. I know the city manager's office has been involved heavily in that. And I know the housing authority and the city council also have. And so really, like, that's awesome. Only a dent. We have a housing needs assessment that's coming up that's getting published and for adoption before you in the next few months. And that will help, reiterate the fact that the stuff that this council is doing and direct future councils and other staff is trying to make a difference wherever possible and make the biggest amount of impact with, the resources that we have. We're seeing that happen with the Oaks. Again, 1,594 permits. It's a lot. 75 new homes. That is a lot for us. But obviously, I think it's kind of tapered down a little bit from years past when some of the apartments were going up in the downtown. I think we'll see more of that finish out as development kind of continues in our downtown. So I think next year we're projecting about that same number. 114 total short-term rentals permits have been issued, 65 in the core in the Triangle area, and the rest are outliers, some of which are ADUs or owner occupied in the Triangle or outside. And so that number is just the total, but we're obviously always monitoring and making sure that we're not going over that 65 primary dwelling unit short-term rental occupation.
Speaking of ADUs, on the previous slide, there was, I think, 31 accessory permits.
That would include sheds.
Okay, that was my question.
Garages.
Okay.
We've done, it's like 3 to 5 ADUs. Some are attached and some are detached so far this year.
Thank you.
And are they being used as primary or like
rentals? Yeah.
Long-term.
That's what we've.
Permit.
Well, I had a conversation with Matt Carson today, who's manages our short-term rental program, and he said a lot of the ADUs are going from short-term to long-term. They're finding long-term renters in there. Maybe it's the seasonality of tourism in this area and finding a long-term renter for about 6 months or 3 to 9 months, just to hit that window of short-term rental, maybe in the
Pretty typical in our market that a lot of those will shift to those.
When it's the slow season of use. Gotcha. Makes sense.
I could have added a lot more bullet points, but one that comes to mind is to highlight some of the partnerships and the direction from council and the cool things we're doing to impact housing is I was able to partake in the APA Western Slope Conference. It's a American Planning Association Western Slope Conference. I graciously volunteered to do a mobile tour of the city of Fruita and more specifically, affordable housing, workforce housing. And so 20 people signed up. That was the limit to sign up for the mobile tours. We got with other planning professionals, commissioners, city council members of other municipalities, And they come to this conference, or they came to this conference on the Western Slope in Grand Junction, unfortunately there, but yeah, we're Fruita. And so we took a bus, a mobile tour to Fruita, and we made stops at the Muse. We got to go inside a unit and talk with the property management company and talk about some of the really awesome things that the Housing Authority did to impact that project and what that project means from a cost standpoint and an AMI standpoint of housing folks that need affordable housing. Then we went to the Oaks and had a great conversation with Adam Roy with Headwaters Partners and with us and their contractor to talk about how great of a project that was and what that could mean for many municipalities across the state. Just to make a direct impact in a short amount of time was something that Adam really talked about heavily. And then the other thing that we talked about on this tour to make an impetus on was the partnerships that were created during this, or what are needed to make these projects actually happen. Real partnerships with people that are invested in the community, with strategic goals that are set out by the council and the city manager's office support, really helped all that come to fruition. And that was a really cool tour. Joey, our new planner, who's been on board for about 2 months, he was on that tour with us, but he's been great impact to our office too, to help with this workload. Want to take the moment to actually introduce him to the council before it's actually a formal public hearing, which would be like, who are you? Like who's Dan, over there earlier. But I could talk for a long time on this. Again, my first budget presentation, and I can't stop bragging about the work that we're doing in our office. From a building inspections impact, we've done over 7,000 inspections currently. With a new roof like the picture you've seen, that has 3 visits. So, 1,594 building inspections, 1,125 roofs, multiply that by 3, you get, they're doing a lot of work out there, and they're not coming back to the office being like, man, I wish, we weren't this busy. Like, hey, we're working with these people. We're doing it for the homeowners. And again, super proud that we were able to bring that in-house when we did. And, unfortunately, we had a hailstorm that impacted a lot of homeowners. But we were able to have those services ready and queued up so they could take advantage of not only a streamlined process of building permit review, but also localized inspections where they can actually, be around a building inspector. So really cool to see 432,000 in total revenues collected. So I'd say it's, the building department is doing the work to pay for itself, and it's pretty awesome to see.
Hey, Henry, before you go off of that screen, just for knowledge, before we brought all this in-house, what is it? Do you have an idea of the comparable of how much permits we were doing when we had to go through them, and how much revenues we were bringing in? I mean, I'm just looking at the overall success on the program since we brought it in. I mean, I know that we're doing better, but do we have any tangible kind of an idea of what the percentages or differences at all?
Well, the way that I understood it before we had the building department in-house is we were collecting a planning clearance fee, and the building department for Mesa County was collecting the building permit fees.
That's definitely, we're making a lot more in revenues for sure.
Yeah.
We're not,
The amount.
as a reminder, it's not the idea is that it covers 70% of the
Yeah.
actual cost. So I just don't want to
No.
I don't want the people to get the impression like
what
it's a
the
profit
difference
center.
is. If they're not that it's a profit thing or anything, I'm just the numbers, just pure numbers. What's the difference? Just to see what the success of our new thing was.
I would say that it's been extremely successful. Bringing it in-house was definitely, there was a lot on the table. We had to get it right, and there was a lot of pressure. But at the direction of Dan Karras and the council and Mike Bennett, the city manager, and Shannon was in our office too, they hit a grand slam with that, and they really, stepped up and did the right thing. And obviously the council's direction, doing that allowed us to really hone in and provide those key services and those core services to our citizens without delegating it out to the county. And, hopefully they're getting good customer service.
Timeline would not have been
Yeah.
anywhere near like that number of roofs would not, absolutely not have
That's what I was
happened.
thinking.
Absolutely not.
They didn't have capacity to service to that degree.
No.
This is a unique year for
This
sure.
thing was great. Like you guys,
Insane. Yeah.
like you say, grand slam on everything here. I'm just trying to
And then also
add that a little.
James, it's expedited or made certain construction more efficient. Like we were in a prior meeting we had tonight, the gentleman who owns Josephine's, like very grateful for our building department because he's been able to do things it's much more efficient and cost savings and everything was fantastic. So it just reiterates how smart of a decision it was.
And that wasn't coming from, I doubt it. I just wanted to give you some other bragging points to.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
Good job on all
We,
that.
we definitely couldn't do it without the awesome people that are our building inspectors, Will, Jen, Mike. They're really great to be around. They're great people. And they do a fantastic job. Obviously, like it's not an easy job for them to go out there and, if there are issues, which there are, those aren't easy conversations to have. And so they handle themselves very professionally, but they're also fun to work with. And so having great people in the office also helps. We have the systems in place to do the work, but it's really the people, that make the biggest impact, which is the core service values of that, we are striving for each and every day. Not really like a transaction. Here's your permit. It's more of an experience. We want to make sure that people leave and they understand, what's going on.
Well, and it seems to me, even when you go on a visit and it might not be the most pleasant, it feels to me like the public still has a little bit of ownership too. They can come down here and come and talk to and deal with it in the next few days and not hope that somebody at the county is going to see them in a week or 2 or 3 when they can get in to see them. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's a win all the way around.
Yes. Agreed. To dive into the budget portion, I'm done bragging about how awesome these people are. Well, maybe not. I don't know. Overall expenses for 2026 are set to increase approximately 7%. We did receive the award for the ADU incentive grant. And so 100,000. Yes. Thank you, Katie, for your hard work and other folks involved in that grant application. That's awesome. So what that includes is a 75-25 match. So $75,000 in grant funding and $25,000 budgeted on our end. We also have $15,000 budgeted for a planning consultant. The state has quite a few things coming before us for local municipalities. One that we're familiar with is the housing needs assessment. The Senate bill requires municipalities to do that. With that, you have a housing action plan. And then with the housing action plan, you're going to have impacts most likely to your code, and creating some fail safes or some workload impacts that may happen with regards to some other things that the state is requiring other municipalities to do. It's kind of just a fail safe for like a backstop, so to speak, for staff if things get pretty heavy with that. Plus, maybe relying on a planning consultant to cover some other elements, maybe with the launch or some other, civic-minded opportunities down the road to kind of cover. But again, wanted to introduce Joey. We are fully staffed, and so I think we'll be able to handle most of that stuff in-house. But just in case, it'd be great to have a backstop to that. And then purchase of a building inspections vehicle. That's a really specific number, 56,925 MSRP.
Everyone loves specific numbers, so good job.
Well, as I mentioned, we have 3 building inspectors, but we have 2 vehicles. And so that does create some challenges. I don't know anybody who has a teenage driver and, extra car is worth the impact. So
that's what falls under the mobile equipment line item in the budget?
Yeah.
Okay.
And since I'm standing up here, I'll take this one too, since I've pretty much talked the whole time. The Economic Development Fund budget highlights of this is a decrease of 3% for revenues and a decrease of 6% in expenses. We have the $12,000 included for that for the lease of the billboard space on the Co-op Grain Tower. That's split with the marketing fund. Continuing contributions to GGEP and the Fruita Housing Authority. $200,000 is being appropriated for the second payment to the Oaks, and then $35,000 for the downtown display from the Public Places Fund. Housing Authority Fund.
What's the downtown display?
So it's the kiosk that's being recommended as part of this budget. So it's about, we have quotes between, nope, yep, sorry.
Nope, good.
Yep. Yeah. Yep. Yep. Yeah. The electronic kiosk. Yeah. Yeah.
That we get a look at first.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. Yeah. There's some very, very interesting ones. And we have, as soon as the budget's adopted, we can send over those renderings.
On the side, I have issue with electronic ones, but go on.
Okay. Yeah. Those questions are perfectly directed.
The budget before we get to see what we're getting.
No, it's just we can't legally spend the money until the budget's adopted and appropriated. So we wouldn't begin work on anything in 2026 until we get final council approval.
I'm just teasing you.
Housing Authority Fund, the budget highlights here is an overall decrease of 87% due to the purchase of the Fruita Commons property. $200,000 for the Oaks at time of CO. We're expecting that at the end of 2026. And then general costs for legal services, publishing, but no other changes to the Fruita Housing Authority Fund.
My up, man.
I'm going to kick it to Shannon.
Sure. Yeah. I'm going to come up to the podium because I've been sitting for so long.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Motion.
Una.
Thank you.
Thanks, Henry.
Hey, great job, Henry. That's great. Yeah. Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of the City Council for the opportunity to present. I'm Shannon Boston, City Manager for the City of Fruita, and I couldn't go through an entire budget year without at least doing one formal presentation. So, yeah, it's good to be back. Thank you for having me. You could still kick me out. I guess it depends on how long.
Right.
Yeah. It might be with how Henry was. But I just have a few kind of quick highlights to go over for the Marketing Promotion Fund, and then we'll kind of jump into the all fund summary. So our FTAC liaison, Ciara, is back from maternity leave, and she was out for the last 3 months. So I've actually been serving as the kind of interim FTAC liaison with Ammon Pierce. So I actually helped the FTAC with the budget, so that's why I'm presenting it and covering it for her tonight. As you all know, our marketing and promotion efforts are funded through a 3% tax on all short-term lodging, so anything less than 30 days. This is the one source of revenue that has actually decreased compared to prior years, but it's not much of a decrease. It's only a couple percentage points total, and we do think some of it's due to the transition from some short-term lodging to long-term lodging and maybe some decreases in visitation as a whole. With that being said, our revenues for marketing promotion have been doing very well, especially since 2018, 2019. Then we've built up a very healthy fund balance in that fund. So I recommend every year that we spend it and we keep on doing really well, and then we have more to spend. So in total, we have about a 20% increase compared to 2025. And a lot of those, actually all of those, are one-time expenses that we are recommending to spend down some of this fund balance, because I don't think it's really the proper role of government to sit on a bunch of cash. Let's make sure that we're doing things that benefit the community and, of course, our tourism efforts as such. So we have several one-time expenses next year. We're replacing the covers on the billboard on I-70 that will be funded through the Marketing and Promotion Fund. Council will be very involved in that. We are getting some new software as well. So currently we have about $5,000 to $7,000 that we budget for a program called CrowdRiff, which allows us to automatically ask for post online user-generated content to be shared with the city of Fruita. So it's photos, videos we can use in the future. We haven't got as much content as we thought we would get from that, so we're actually redirecting those funds next year to a software called Placer AI, which is a really unique data software. It actually tells you who is going to the events, where they came from, how many people went there. This has been a request of our Fruita Chamber, our staff as well, so we can really track and see, you know, where people are going in Fruita, where they're traveling. You know, it also is helpful for economic development. So we actually have some statistics on, you know, if people are looking to move here, we can share this is how many visits we've had, et cetera. So really excited to get that implemented. And then, of course, we're increasing funding for our tourism efforts with our private consultant, Barnhart. And I do apologize. At our last meeting, I said they would be presenting during this presentation. We'll actually have them present in January because we want to be cognizant of time during tonight's budget presentation. Lodging tax is projected to decrease 3% compared to 2025. This is pretty common. I've always budgeted very conservatively, so even if we are having an up year in some of our major source of revenue like we are this year, I always try to tend to budget lower just in case, you know, things do come up. The expenses of 256 are budgeted to exceed revenues. Special projects, we had a few things going on this year in the Fruita Tourism Marketing and Promotion Fund, so we'll see a decrease there. And again, $12,000 for the billboard lease, and we continue to fund a variety of special events with the amount of $38,000 per year. Fruita Fall Fest, Fat Tire Festival, Fruita Farmers Market, Kids Adventure Games, the Adventure Fest running race, all events that we are scheduled to fund next year, as well as the military graduation appreciation day as well, which has been a really good event. That concludes the smaller funds. I'll pause there, or I can just jump right into the all funds. I know I'm literally between you and your dinner. So I can try to run through these as quick or as slow as council is interested in.
Dive away.
Dive away. All right. So the All Funds is a chapter that we just published in our last budget. It kind of just covers all expenses, consolidated, and revenues as well. So kind of a theme throughout this budget is that things are relatively flat. You know, this year we've had a lot of very successful projects. We completed 19 Road. We finally kicked off South Mesa after having that grant for about 3 years. We completed Reed Park just at the end of last year. So a lot of these big projects that we budgeted for years are either wrapped up or in process. So you'll see a lot of decreases sprinkled throughout the budget, completely intentional and completely normal, considering we spend almost all of our extra dollars on capital projects and one-time expenses. In total, we have about $27.8 million in expenses, $26.8 million in revenues. Decreases, again, all are from capital projects and one-time expenses this year. And we are projecting to spend $1.1 million in reserves. All of those reserves are relatively assigned for specific uses, which I'll get into in a later slide. Here's just a pie chart of our revenues in total. So this excludes transfers to other funds, but by far our biggest sources of revenue are taxes. So city sales tax, county sales tax, property tax, use tax on building materials, et cetera. The next big piece of the pie is charges for services. So your utility fees, so sewer, trash, irrigation water, also FCC charges as well. And then we have a few other very small pieces. Intergovernmental revenues are things like grants or revenue sharebacks from the state, and then a few small, very small fines, assessments, miscellaneous, et cetera. This bar graph just shows kind of an overview of the last 3 years as far as revenue and expenses. Each year, this graph looks similar because I think we're going to complete all these projects. This year, we finally did. So that big purple bar on the left is the shortfall because we're paying for a lot of these projects with fund balance, which we set to do a few years ago. And especially 19 Road, $6-7 million in total. So that explains the huge kind of shift in the use of fund balance. Tax revenues, 14.4 million. Again, not really estimating much of a change. Our biggest change is going to be on the property tax side. Our assessed valuation, at least in the July draft, has went up pretty significantly. I'm told that the legislator quietly did away with a $50,000 deduction off assessed valuations. So it's not a change from what we've been receiving, because as you know, things have changed as far as assessed valuation and assessment rates. We've been getting backfill, but now we actually see that in our actual assessed valuation. This kind of shows our revenues as far as tax revenues broken out by category. You'll see our largest piece of the pie is city sales tax, followed by county sales tax, property taxes, use taxes, etc. And I can definitely slow down or speed up whenever anyone is interested in. That is Ciara in the Mike Tellis chicken costume.
Way the magic.
Right? Oh, shoot. That is definitely not. Intergovernmental revenue, 800,000. Again, this is due to spending down grants. So a few grants that we got this year were for the H2S, or not the H2S, the Kingsview Lift Station project. We got some funds for that. We also got some funds for our Kieran-Place sewer line replacement, which was just completed for the most part last week by the railroad. So when we don't have these capital projects to spend, then we see a decrease in the grant revenues overall. Charges for services, apart from tax revenues, are our next biggest piece. Again, these are all mostly user fees, whether at the community center or sewer or trash rates. 4% increase, mostly just due to inflationary adjustments. We'll see a 2% increase in sewer charges, and the trash fund is about 5%, which is a pass-through from our provider. So moving up from that 1985 to 2080 in trash, and 5360 to 5465 for most sewer customers. Very, very small amount miscellaneous revenues. Again, fine assessments. This is one of those instances where we used revenues that are categorized as fines. So not really a fine, but in our accounting, it's categorized as such, our development impact fees. So we had a handful of development impact fees, assessments, let me call them assessments, not fines, that we used for 19 Road and a few others. So you'll see that decrease just because we don't have any development impact fees budget yet, mostly because a lot of our capital projects are focused on planning and preparing for future grant cycles next year. Miscellaneous revenue, the bulk of this is interest earnings on deposits. So again, we spent down about $6-7 million on 19 Road and less money to collect interest earnings on. So we're anticipating a slight decrease in those overall. That's it for revenues. Does council have any questions before I jump into expenses? Seeing none. Okay. So 2026 expenses, it can be broken out into three general categories. We have our operating expenses, which basically is almost everything: personnel, benefit expenses, purchase professional services, purchase property services, supplies, etc. Capital expenses are anything that's a big capital project like overlays or South Mesa. Or equipment that has a value over a certain amount and lasts a certain amount of time. And then we have a small portion of debt. We have two outstanding, one bond, one loan on the community center. We have some debt on that facility, and then we also have a loan on the wastewater reclamation facility. Operating expenses are budgeted to increase about 2% over the 2025 budget. A lot of this is just due to general inflationary increases. You know, when we went at this budget from a leadership team perspective, I encouraged them to keep everything flat. It was such an odd time and continues to be a difficult time to forecast what may or may not happen, whether it's at the local level or the state or the federal level. So you'll see trends throughout the budget is that there's a lot of flat proposals and what's that we'd recommend to council, just to make sure, hopefully, we're not overspending on our revenues next year. So 20.7 million, again, 2% over. The bulk of that is your personnel services, your health insurance, wages, retirement benefits, stuff like that. Again, this kind of just provides a historical kind of breakdown of the last 3 years of operations to capital to debt, and other financing uses are just generally transfers among funds. Personnel expenses, we have $11.8 million included in the budget. Again, mostly salary benefits and fringe benefits. And fringe benefits are things that we pay as an employer in order to employ the employees. So things like FICA, unemployment, workers' comp, stuff like that. So seeing a slight increase in that, although our health insurance did go up pretty significantly compared to the whole personnel expenses, it's not as big of an increase. Purchase services, these are things like your engineering services, cleaning services, legal, city attorney, municipal prosecutor, 5.7 million, and a few minor changes in those purchase services. Operating expenses, no change from the prior year as far as supplies. We continue to see some minimal decreases in utilities that we tried to budget for, and you'd probably see throughout the line item budgets. We're paying less for things like gas and electrical, but you never know how long that will last. It is kind of seasonal dependent, but we are seeing some lower expenses on that. Same for fuel, seeing some lower stuff, but we don't tinker with it too much, knowing that it could fluctuate as commodities generally do. Special projects, these are, transportation, what we pay for the GVT and the RTPO, the Regional Transportation Planning Office. Fireworks, there's some minor increases. We're adding a mural under I-70 going towards the state park, so you'll see a small amount in Parks and Rec for that. And then contingency, which are just funds that come up for unanticipated expenses. Council can approve those as you did earlier on the consent agenda. You'll see a pretty significant decrease, but that's almost all a decrease in sewer funds where we budgeted additional contingency dollars in case we got grants. A lot of grants kind of dried up this year, and there's still a lot of uncertainty, so we didn't apply for any additional sewer grants. Capital expenses, we have 3.2 million. Again, a pretty significant decrease from prior years. Capital equipment's roughly about $1 million, and capital projects is 2.1 million overall, round kind of up and down. So 1 and 2.1 do not equal the 3.2, but by the time we round, they're pretty close. But again, these are kind of our bigger projects, overlays, sidewalk replacement, our vehicles, etc. And then a lot of projects next year are focused on planning for the future, getting things grant ready, like the Pine Street pedestrian bridge, expanding North Mesa Street Bridge, etc. This is in our budget. I apologize that this is very difficult to read, but we actually provide a breakdown of all of our capital expenses, not just by fund, but also is it a replacement? Is it new? How much is the amount? So I actually put, although that is small too now that I look at it, pages 26 to 27 of the budget draft where you can actually see the specific expenses per capital equipment. But as you can see, a little over 1 million for total equipment, and total capital projects is 2.1. Most of that is in sewer, replacing some sewer lines in downtown. A lot of old concrete, Orangeburg sewer lines that desperately need to be replaced. So hopefully we replace them before they fail. And then also the UV redundancy, which is something that the wastewater reclamation facility definitely needs to focus on. So if it doesn't go out, they're not hauling a bunch of waste elsewhere and whatnot. This chart kind of breaks down the estimated beginning funds per fund, and then it breaks down revenues, expenses, change in funds, ending funds available, and how much is on capital. So as I shared earlier, we have about $1.1 million in the use of funds. So in the general fund, that's about, as you can see here, if I can look at Henry's mouse, this is a nice mouse, Henry, 955,000 change in available funds. Out of that, 785,000 is for capital. But what's missing from this chart is we're also transferring, I think, about 600,000, about 650 to the capital projects fund, which is also capital, it's just in a different fund. We have a few other departments where we're spending down some fund balance. Economic development, that's for the Oaks payment as well. We'll transfer that to the Housing Authority. Marketing, we talked about that earlier, having those one-time expenses. And then in our sewer for those big 2 sewer projects, making sure that we're getting on top of that and hopefully avoiding service delivery issues in the future. I do want to share some recent updates. So Katie and I have been working a lot this week, and we'll continue to work a lot this week to get a final draft for council, because the draft we're working off is the one from last month. So we have made some changes. And before our workshop next week, we'll actually have a summary of those changes. It is required by the Government Finance Officers Association that you provide a summary. It's something that I like to do too, so you can kind of track the changes over time. So the biggest changes that I'd like to share that isn't reflected in the current draft, but will be very, very soon. I think we'll get it done soon. We've made a big chunk of it today. It just takes so much time. Was that we added 40,000 for the 250-150 celebration. So that's one direction that we got from council at our last meeting. So 30 of that is for entertainment, so drone show, an additional concert that Thursday night, and 10,000 is for equipment, so t-shirts, banners, signs, other things that we talked about that I can't think of right now. So about 40,000 total for that 250-150 celebration. And we will, of course, pursue grants to offset those costs. I also added a revolving internship in the city manager's office. So we've had such success with internships in the city. We've hired several people from that, and definitely there's more that we wanted to hire, but we didn't have room at the time. So this is something I've been thinking about. I probably should have proposed it sooner, so I apologize. I'm sending it to you in November before the budget's due for adoption in 2 weeks. But I think this would be a really good benefit. You know, the city has done a tremendous job succession planning. You know, we have our planning director here, our finance director here, our management analysts. All of these people have benefited from succession planning. Our assistant city manager, we've kind of tapped into a lot of that. So it's kind of time to start maybe evaluating and getting some new people on board. So if we do have vacancies in the future, we have people that we're familiar with and kind of know their work and go from there. So that 12,000 is for 2 interns, not at the same time, just throughout the year. And that's if they will spend that if they're not eligible for WIOA, which is the Workforce Opportunity Innovation Act funding through the Workforce Center, or if they can take a paid internship. MESA requires some to take unpaid internship, which I do not understand. Our last intern worked for 6 weeks for free and traveled out to Fruita, and I was like, can we pay you? She said, absolutely not. So just having that in there, if we use it, great. If not, then we'll just roll it forward. We also are changing workforce workers' comp providers, so you'll see a pretty significant decrease in that kind of throughout the funds. The next draft is about a $60,000 decrease. And with any decrease, there's also an increase in our liability and property and casualty insurance went up by probably about 50,000. So we had some savings, but not very much. So budget is adopted in 4 steps. So at our next meeting, assuming not a lot of feedback from council, we'll approve fees and charges for 2026. We'll approve the budget, appropriate the budget, and then we'll set the mill levy, which staff is not predicting or requesting any changes to the mill levy. And with that, I will pause and allow you to open up for public comment. And then afterwards, hopefully continue this to the December 2nd, 2025 City Council meeting. Concludes my presentation, Mr. Mayor and Council.
Great, thank you, Shannon. With that, would like to open up to public comment. Would anybody like to make comment on the this budget presentation? Can you please state your full name and address for the record?
Didn't even get to start, James. Tessa Bynum, 255 North Ash Street. Okay. Who's gonna take notes? Okay. On the budget, will the $300,000 for chip sealing be enough to actually get it done this year, Shannon? The painting on the corner over there, I don't know street names, so the one over there that was done by the Idea Factory, will a better or different paint be used the next time it's done? And what was learned from that? That was just one of the things that I was thinking about. The sidewalk replacement budget was doubled this next budget year. Super exciting. Does that mean that more residents will be able to participate in the 80-20 program, or is there another plan? And then to comment on something that the mayor said a couple months ago about the sidewalk at the Dinosaur Museum that the city owns. The lease that was signed with the Museum of the West states the museum is responsible for maintaining the property. And since the city owns that property, I don't think that the city should I don't think the museum should qualify for the program, just side note. The 2026 election costs, what exactly costs 3,000 more than the 2024 election? I don't understand that. Marketing and promotion fund is over budget by like 24%. I would like to understand that one. In the budget, it says that the pool will be retiled or replacement, but Mark said at the last meeting that it was going to be resurfaced. So I would like a little bit more of an explanation on that one as well. The sewer fund insurance deductible is up $5,000 next year. Ideas on that one? And then I think that's all I got. Thanks.
Nice work, Tessa. Forward your list.
With that, any other questions, or I'm sorry, any other comments on the budget? All right, seeing none, I'm going to go ahead and close public comment. Shannon, do you wish to have any other comments before we bring it back to council?
No, I can definitely respond to those questions.
You could, would be great.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember some of them.
Idea Factory paid.
Idea Factory, yeah,
Sidewalk
yeah.
program.
Yep.
And 300,000 for chip seal were the first.
Yep. I really hope 300,000 is enough for chip seal. You know, this is one of the ones where we've had to come back for supplemental funds this year for it. We did do a double chip seal on South 19 Road, which was a little bit more expensive this year, but even the year before we were drastically under budget. So a lot of it is dependent upon contractor availability, but also cost of materials. So I hope so. We doubled it, or not doubled it. We included it another 100,000 in the hopes that it would be sufficient. But if it's not, then we'll probably be having a similar conversation what we had this year, to where it has to go through a formal supplemental budget appropriation. Tessa is right. It is a resurfacing. We updated that language in the next draft, and you'll actually see that when you get the next draft.
Sidewalk.
Sidewalk. Yeah. Sidewalk. Yeah. That's one that we talked with council earlier. So yeah, more people hopefully will be able to participate. We also talked about maybe doing a 90-10 program instead of the 80-20. So that's something we'll talk about internally, and then make a recommendation to council. We collect a little on the 80-20 program right now, but to be honest, the administrative kind of process of collecting is probably not the best as far as cost recovery. It is a great program. We definitely recommend, but maybe if we move those margins, we'd get some more participation, which I think would be great. And yeah, as far as the Dinosaur Journey Museum, they will do the repairs, and we're not responsible for those, but they do get credit towards their lease, because they are required to put a specific amount of building improvements towards the building or the property to get credit to offset rent. So that would be one where it's offset, and I'm still missing a few. But
So pool resurfacing.
That's what I said.
Yep. It is resurfaced.
Sorry, and then the marketing budget up 20.
Oh yeah. The marketing budget, those are all one-time expenses. We're doing the billboard silos, $24,000. We're doing a unique Care for Colorado campaign there. We're also upping our mini grants and hope that we get more. So going from 4 to 8. We actually spent down all 4 this year. So really hoping that we can open that up to other businesses or parties that want to participate in that. Right now, there's a dollar for dollar cash match, and Sierra and I have actually been talking about, like, dollar for dollar is great, but does that create a barrier for people who may want to host a smaller event or a community event? Because if it does, then maybe we need to reevaluate that. But yeah, all of the marketing expenses are one time and mostly related to the silos, increasing the mini grants, the Care for Colorado campaign, and I believe, yeah. So some increases there, but yeah, we've saved a lot in the marketing and promotion fund. So I probably recommend we start spending some of that down. We try to each year, but we just keep on getting revenues that exceed our expenses. So it just keeps on kind of like accumulating. Government accounting, they generally say 100% of expenses is a good amount. I think we're at about 150, 175% fund balance compared to expenses.
And then ballot, there was a question about.
Oh yeah. We don't know the cost of the election. I'm just assuming it'll be an extra 5,000. Most of that's just related. The bulk of the cost is related to the equipment rental. But also, if we do have any additional questions, whether they're charter amendments or Tabor questions, we do have to send out a notice regarding those. So in case we did have anything else, I wanted to throw in some buffer in case we had other notices that we may have to comply with for the election.
Great.
Nicely done.
All right.
Thanks.
Both of you.
We can now bring it back to council.
Oh yeah. If there are more, we can definitely talk to. Sewer. What was the sewer one?
Insurance deductible.
Oh, insurance. Oh yeah. That's actually one. I was just working on this today. So our insurance is always 5,000. We just paid for it this year. We don't always pay for it. So that's one where just in case something comes up, we budget that $5,000 for the deductible. Yeah. My insurance is getting very, very expensive.
Yes, for everybody. I do have a question in terms of for race and race sponsorship, those dollars, which that comes out of the marketing?
Yep.
Okay.
Special events. It comes out of that specific line item. This year, we actually funded the most special events that we ever had, and I think that's definitely a good thing. But we do anticipate a drop off next year. Just some events maybe didn't renew, like Rome Fest. Then we have some other events where.
What about like Colorado to Utah?
Yeah, we'll probably pay that up front, and that'll be through a supplemental. Yeah.
All right, any other? Aaron? Oh, sorry.
Henry, I tried to have questions for you, but you answered them before I could ask them. So, fix that next time.
Rockstar.
I really appreciate it, Shannon. I really like seeing the additional data that we're getting with understanding the fund balances and just seeing a bigger picture sooner than what we have in the past. And so it's very much appreciated. And I appreciate you commenting on, where we're eating into almost 1.1 million in fund balances and where that comes from. It's nice to know that they're coming from reserves that we've been fiscally responsible, and we're just utilizing those funds now. So no, I think it's great to see that we're continuing to always improve in our budget, even taking out 100 pages.
I know. Yeah. That was all Katie.
Missing it.
Yeah.
It's so good, even at the condensed stage.
I know.
Oh, I appreciate it for all you and what your staff does.
Yeah. No, it's a complete team effort. Our staff does an incredible job. So definitely want to thank all of them. And of course, the department heads presenting too as well. I thought that went really well. I did have to sneak in one presentation, but yeah, very happy with how this is all turned out, as much as you can considering it's a flat budget, but super exciting stuff in there for sure.
I think it's, I look at it with the budget, like we have our ups and downs, but like we've done a lot in the past couple of years. And so it's nice to see that we're just like, let's take not necessarily a break year, but a year to pause and work on things that are coming into the future. So it's nice to know that we're not running too fast for our bridges.
It's really great, and also super grateful that you did give a bit of the presentation.
Oh, yeah.
It wouldn't be the same without you. So
Great. That's what I've been telling him.
I agree with you.
It was really great though to hear from all of them.
Oh, so good. Yeah.
I mean, they're just so personally invested, in so it was really fun to see their excitement and their knowledge. And so thank you for making that change. That was
Yeah, really.
Happy to.
Rich?
Any questions I had, you answered tonight, so thank you.
No, I'm good. Thanks.
Aaron?
No more.
I just hope that you keep the same energy when we need you to help with IT.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
not.
I think that's
He was the IT guy too. I'm just saying.
Dan, is it?
Dan's looking down. No, thanks.
Same confidence in Dan.
He doesn't have.
Let's not talk about IT. That's
Yeah.
I only have one comment. As one of those roofs that are being replaced, talking to the people doing the work in the different subs, what I consistently heard about our the department was very strict, but consistent and fair. They're like, yeah, no, we know what's expected,
Yeah.
and they adhere to it, but they're very fair about it.
Yeah. No, that's exactly what we're going for. Yeah.
All right, anything else? All right,
Just need a
we
motion.
need a motion.
Open up. Yeah. Thank you.
I move to continue the public hearing on the 2026 annual budget until December 2nd, 2025 city council meeting.
We have a first and a second. Last chance for questions or comments. All right, hearing none.
Counselor Miller,
Yes.
Counselor Williams,
Yes.
Counselor Hansi,
Yes.
Counselor Purser,
Yes.
Counselor Parrish,
Yes.
Counselor Quigley.
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0.
Great, thank you very much. We've now been up here for 2 hours and 20 minutes. I think we need to take a 10-minute, knocking around it, 10-minute bio break. Time is 9:19. We'll be back at 9:29. Thank you. All right, guys, it is 9:29 and we are back. So we have nothing on the administrative agenda. So with that, we're going to head over to the city manager's report. Excuse me, Shannon. Oh, we missed something?
No, he's chewing.
Oh.
Come back to him.
All right, we will come back to Shannon shortly. What'd you get? That's so, never mind.
Are you eating grape nuts or something?
I
haven't thought about that.
mean, it's weirder than cheese.
All right, let's get back on track, please.
Sorry, it was the end, so chewier than normal. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of City Council. Only two quick updates for you tonight. So very excited to share that yesterday, Monday, we launched our business licenses, digital business licenses online on Cloud Permit. So that'll be a great addition to our offerings, but also people will be able to watch a tutorial and complete everything completely online. So that'll streamline their process, our process as well. So if you know anyone that has a business license or needs one, definitely recommend they come to the front desk and work off our kiosk, or it'll be available, or it is available on our website. Right now as well, right on the homepage, that online business licenses are live.
Communicated to the chamber?
I would imagine, but we will double check on that.
I've got a meeting with them at 7 a.m. tomorrow.
Yeah, yeah.
Still can come in and do it in person too, right?
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
I enjoy my yearly visit with Deb.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that'd be good. Finally, well, two items, actually. So workshop next week, we just have two items. We have our economic development proposals, which I sent over last week. So if you have a chance to review those and be ready to discuss those next week. And then we'll also have our final budget wrap up on the 2026. If you have any proposed changes, we will get a new draft sent out to council prior to that. And most of the changes I just talked about during the budget presentation, but make sure that if there's anything else of note, we will make sure you're aware of that. And then finally, our December workshop falls on the 22nd or 23rd. So I did want to ask council if you're okay with staff moving forward and canceling or not canceling. Okay.
By yourself.
That workshop. There may or may not be a lot of staff that works that week. The thumbs up, good to cancel. Okay. All right. We'll bring that at our next meeting.
So yes.
Okay.
No, you
Yeah.
don't.
Yeah. And that's it.
Question on, or comment for when we go to review the economic development proposals.
Mhm.
Part of the meeting, I'm going to ask that everybody come in with their number one pick and their number two pick to help facilitate the conversations and hopefully make that go a little faster. Yes, please. All right. So since that's it, let's go ahead and bring it back to council. James, why don't you go first since you're not eating?
Well, I'm going to be real helpful on that because I don't have anything to report.
Okay. All right. Then I'll jump in since my mouth.
Oh, wait, actually, sorry. What is going on at the dog park with the cement trailer and stack of cement and stuff that's been there for a few weeks now? Yeah, so like right at the entrance to the dog park, there's literally like a work trailer that's just sitting there. It's like concrete blocks. And then it looks like it was gonna do some concrete work right there or something. And it's just been in a holding pattern for a few weeks.
Let us look into that and I know they are doing some sidewalk replacements there, but
okay,
I didn't
that makes
think it
sense.
was
I was
that.
just curious because
Yeah.
it hasn't changed at all. It's just been sitting there. So I was just curious if it was my own thing. I can't think of anything else. I probably have something else. I'll come back.
I think we haven't figured out a way to make these go faster.
I mentioned to you guys the last time we were together about a Fruita community conversation about homelessness, and there's several different people that are going to be there. It's this Thursday, November 20th, from 6 to 7:30 at the Fruita Community Center. there's going to be a community panel from someone from the Joseph Center, someone from Mesa County United Way, someone from Mesa County Health. But they were asking if if any one of us wanted to be there. And I'm happy to go, but does anyone else want to go?
I have it on my calendar.
Oh, that's what you said. Okay, good. Yep.
So we'll need to notice.
Yeah, we can do notice, yeah.
Yep. And I don't know, is any of our staff going to be there as well? Okay, fantastic. That's that. Went to the Fruita Youth Action Council, and I specifically knew what time I was supposed to be there, got a verbal or a written confirmation, and I got there right on time, and they'd been there for an hour already because they had sent out, they use this little app that I'm on, but I don't check instantly every day, and they had changed the time day of. So I got there at the end of their meeting, but they were making little blankets, like tie blankets to give out to people in need. And I just will continue to say to you all, they're just a great group of young humans that are just doing good things in our community all the time. And we had our arts and culture board meeting on Wednesday, and it went really, really, really well. I did run that meeting that night since we don't currently have a chair and we still do not have a chair. They're still ruminating on that a little bit before someone is ready to step into that position. But it was the first time that we actually had a meeting since the public discussions and decisions made about the sculpture. So there was a lot of debrief on that. There was a lot of other great things that took place there as well. No finalized items on how the Heart of Fruita criteria will ultimately end, but that discussion was started and there's good takeaways, and it went really, really well. And
Do they have other board leadership?
so they had not had a vice chair in the past, but that is going to happen now because I put that when I was chatting, when Mark and I were talking about getting the agenda put together, I suggested that it'd be a chair and vice chair, like that we would have that board would have two positions in place in case something like this came around again. There is a secretary already, yes, but they had only had a chair and secretary, but the vice chair, I would suggest to all boards, if not all the boards have a vice chair, I think that is something that would be, good. We talked a lot about process and procedure of meetings, and we ran the meeting where there was open conversation, but there was structure around that, and that has not really been the case in any of times that I've been on this as the liaison on there. So they understand like the functionality of that, and I know we talked about all of the boards starting to function more along those lines. I am encouraged. Just so you all know, I just think we should be ready to be supportive in any way we can, because all the current members have only been on there for a year or less, a little over a year or less. All of the historical knowledge on the board does not exist currently. So there's that piece of the puzzle just for all of us to be mindful about. Yeah. So there's that. That's my board. That's my reports. I am concerned about those bright lights. I think that was brought up to us at the bus park.
Neighbor. I mean, if it's our property.
So as this comes around, and it's, to use Dan Karas's word, as the rezoning and the annexations, all that is codified, then what after the 30 days?
He's like, what do I say?
When all of our codes actually apply, I would love to see some of that be looked at because it feels I'm not happy with how that sounds like it is. I don't know if we can do anything about, but like just the ambiance in general, it seems like something that could be addressed. So I don't know if you all feel that way, but was a.
Oh, thanks for bringing it up.
Absolutely.
I'll talk about that too. We definitely are not being good neighbors right now.
Cool. Thank you. And let's see. I think that's all.
So going along the lines of the boards and commissions thing, I had a couple of new board members on each of the boards that I'm a liaison on. New members who are feeling like there's not really a very formal onboarding process. And I agree, it's kind of a missing piece. So like even if we could present them with like the last 6 months of minutes, or because they're just feeling like they're just getting thrown in and without any, hey, here's what we're working on, here's how we've done things. And I just thought that was a really great idea. We always have just kind of brought them in and like, okay, you hit the ground running. But I think that might be a really neat thing to just be like, here's a packet, here's like the objectives, of this board. Here's
Yeah.
some,
Can you, just out of curiosity, can you speak to which board specifically?
both. So livability and historic preservation.
Okay, great. Yeah.
It's the first time that conversation has come up, but it's come up
Yeah.
twice on one and one on the other.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So, and like I said, I think I was like, oh, well, that's an easy fix, and really, really something that would be smart.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've done that in the past, actually, for Tourism Board and Livability Commission. When I was the staff liaison, I usually offer to buy the new member like a cup of coffee or a breakfast burrito and get into, here's the board's function, here's their role, here's kind of your role within the board. Talk about what they're working on and what they want to work on in the future. But I always ended it with a here are all the rules that also apply to you now that you're a board member within the city of Fruita. So open records and open meetings. So we can make sure that we're doing that with our new board members. And we are going to do a training at our next board and commission mixer. I think Ciara just sent out the invite too, so we'll talk about some of those things. But we can definitely improve that. I know there's been some new liaisons, or maybe just busy times, so we can work on that for sure.
A ton of new. I mean, just last year we've had so many. So,
oh yeah.
I thought it was a really neat suggestion.
Yeah, absolutely. Completely agree.
And then just something cool, this just randomly popped up on my radar. Fruita was mentioned in the World Atlas as one of the top 6 safest places to settle in Colorado. And the little write-up is so great, and it features some pictures that are like not typically featured in our really cool. And some businesses that are mentioned that are not typically mentioned in our, typical write-ups. So I just thought it was just really a fun little surprise. Like, oh, look at that. Okay, cool. And we were like the first one mentioned, which is really cool.
What's the beginning of what you said?
It's the World Atlas. It was this little like article that they did. Our author's name is Bradley Cooper, which kind of made me giggle. Ooh, we bougie. Yeah, I can forward it to you because it really is it's a really sweet little write-up that just popped up on my Google.
Yeah, that's great.
That's all I have.
Nothing to report. I do have a meeting with the Western Colorado Museums tomorrow, but nothing other than that.
I haven't had any meetings since. Well played. Okay. I got a couple items. One is I got a notification from CML that they are looking for submissions for the next thing, which I know is kind of weird because we don't know what the council makeup will be at that point in time. But is there, I think we should go again, try
the same ones.
And how does that work?
We should throw our creative one in that we did.
Oh yeah.
If we're
Yeah.
if we're not all in, that might be tricky. But I think I mean, a good chunk of us already did that. It was really good. I think we should add that to our proposal.
Yeah, and we were planning on doing that once we saw, not the creative one, but that'll be good now that we have that.
So we're just gonna revamp what we submitted last time?
Yeah.
And just do that, yeah.
See, last night, the Fruita Chamber had the Governmental Affairs Committee, met with Senator Rich. Cody Davis was there and myself, just talking to that committee in terms of what's going on at the state, county, and local level. A lot of budget uncertainty from the top down is really kind of the theme, and trying to figure out how to negotiate the probability of 500 plus new bills being introduced, and then how to communicate that to the community and to get the feedback in on a timely manner. You already asked a question about the board. The form in terms of fellowship, I resent that. Did the second one come through?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, great. So I think how this should work properly. So I sent out a request or information about this program for the Colorado Governor's Fellowship. I'm getting a partial sponsorship on it. I'll be paying for some of it, and then there's a request to see if I didn't see Mary Elizabeth.
Voice of God's coming.
So making a request to help pick up some of that cost. So, and my request is to council to help reimburse for 2,000 out of the 4,500 of the tuition fee plus, and then I'll cover all the expense fees as well. So Mary Elizabeth, I'm glad you're on. I don't know what the proper process should be for this, as this is kind of new territory for the council. If you have any.
Well, just so I understand, is this a professional development situation?
Yes.
And who's invited to participate?
It would just be me.
Okay.
In the Governor's Fellowship Program.
I think we can talk about the how that's going to be paid for offline. But I think it would be along the lines of something similar to how the city supports council's participation at CML.
Yeah. Absolutely. Sounds good. Well, so my question on that is like there's a trip to Washington, D.C.
Right. I think for this discussion though, we don't need to discuss this in the open. Just because it's not to say it's secretive or anything, but it's just it's something that probably need to sit down and see exactly what the expenses are and talk about that with Shannon. So
all right, sounds good. And that's all that I have. Anybody have?
Yep, I remembered. The holiday lighting event is this Friday. And it is operating in a different time order. So thanks for the link. There's a concert starting at 5:30 in Mulberry Plaza. There's a hot cocoa walk. Rima and several other businesses are having hot cocoa.
I don't know that several other.
Well, I saw two others.
They weren't at any, the only meetings I've had, we were doing hot chocolate, but that's fine. If
Rima at least is doing hot cocoa. The concert is Anthony Peebles. It's from 5:30 to 8. And the actual lighting event is at 7 o'clock in the circle. And so the concert will be going, you'll be walking around town, carriage rides will be happening, free carriage rides that whole time. But then the lighting is actually at 7 o'clock. So not at 5:30 like it has been. So I just wanted to make sure everybody, if anyone wanted to be there, knew when and what was happening at what time.
And on that same night, the Business Incubator Center Holiday Expo is right before, I think it's from 4 to 7. That's always a really good event as well, holiday event.
Yeah, at the Business Incubator.
Yep. Oh.
All right. James, did you have something else?
That's what I was gonna make sure we had talked about, because it. Then Small Business Saturdays, November 29th.
Yes, yeah.
And then the big part of moving the tree lighting a week before was to kind of kick off shopping season a little bit more. Another reason for people to go downtown and shop, because it's a Small Business Saturday has kind of always been the kickoff. It gives a kind of a small window. It's only like 3 weeks before Christmas, really. So I think that was just an extra way to get everybody to go ahead and have an activity. And the move to the light later was because if it was earlier, then everybody would stick around.
Yeah, I think it's great. Yeah, the
So
evening.
now it's just getting more festivity type things going on. And I definitely want to point out that was a heavy lift on the works crew. And they've done a great job. They've been out there putting those lights up, and you know, it just kind of got dropped on them, and I definitely need that to be talked about in our forum, that those guys did a lot of work, and
They had to be ready a week or.
yeah, so we really appreciate that, and hopefully the dividends will be great from that.
Great.
All right. Anybody got anything else? All right. So that wraps up council reports and action items. Next on the list is executive session, to convene an executive session to receive legal advice from the city attorney pursuant to CRS 246402-4B regarding potential ballot questions for the April 7th, 2026 municipal election. Besides city council in this meeting will be our city attorney, Mary Elizabeth Geiger, Chief Matthew Smith, Chief David Kraus, and I'm assuming Shannon, city manager. Dan, are you in on this? And Dan Karras, our assistant city manager. We'll wait for people to empty the room. Or I guess we can get a motion. Yeah, let's do the motion.
Well, I would suggest, I believe Councilor Purser had a disclosure to be made as far.
So that should be made before the motion?
The motion?
Yes, yeah.
Yes. Just out of clarity, and I've mentioned this every time we've chatted about this, but my husband is the chair of the fire board. So if anyone, including our city attorney, finds that to be a conflict of interest, let me know.
But it's a non-compensated position.
Well, he gets $199 a month, or 100 and something. I don't even know, but he gets a little bit of money a month.
Basically a city council or
Less than, but close to us, yes, with quite a bit less.
Mary Elizabeth, is there anything else on that?
So, a conflict of interest, true direct conflict of interest is if any decision that's going to be made has, there's a financial benefit to a council member. So for instance, if a family member got an application in front of the council for land use approval, you would need to recuse yourself from that so that, you're not influencing other people's votes. So I think in this instance, that's a nominal amount that he's getting for that service. And, unless if it was spelled out in any ballot question that they were going to provide additional pay to board members, then there would be a conflict at that point. But as of right now in the discussion that we are going to have an executive session and possibly later, I don't see a conflict.
Right. Thank you.
But disclosure is always good.
Yes,
Can there be a perceived conflict? Like ethics isn't about doing the right or wrong. It doesn't
Sure.
good or bad as well.
It's up to you guys. But
I have
We're
issue.
just working on wording.
I have issue like it when we vote. I don't know that I have issue or not in discussion in executive session.
Are you willing to hold that until we actually come up with the verbiage? to see if you feel the same way once there's verbiage. And are we getting outside? I want to make sure we're not stepping outside of this, Mary
I
Elizabeth.
think it's important. We even.
Well, I think, so here,
Because I'm also having concerns of what we're discussing on one topic, and then the language written on why we go into executive session doesn't include certain information, and I kind of feel like we may be discussing stuff that should be discussed in executive session.
well, you've had a presentation in open session by the fire chief
Right.
regarding a question from a potential ballot question from Lower Valley
helps.
Fire Protection District. So that has already been publicly, discussed, and he provided that presentation and that request. So I don't have any problem, frankly, if you want to add to the motion that it's for that particular ballot question, because that request has been made. And that is certainly, already disclosed knowledge.
Okay. All right, so thank you, Mary Elizabeth, for clarification.
Yeah, I don't.
If you're looking for legal advice on this particular issue, then that would be something we need to have an executive session on. And I
Is that
would
a
ask
separate
that
executive session?
I
Or
would
it be-
ask that you modify the motion to include for legal advice concerning a ballot question or a request by Lower Valley Fire Protection District for a ballot question on the April municipal election, as well as legal advice regarding any potential conflicts of interest.
Yeah, I think that'll be good.
That way we cover all our bases.
Okay. All right. So when we go to, so the motion would be to move to convene an executive well, can we just say what you said? All
Well,
right,
I
so
didn't
we
cite
need a
to the
motion
sta-
to convene an executive session to receive legal advice from the city attorney pursuant to CRS 246424B regarding potential ballot questions for the April 7th, 2026 municipal election and legal advice on conflict of interest
Potential.
or potential conflict of interest.
So moved.
All right. We have a first. Second. We have a second. Any other questions or discussions on the motion? Yep. All right, seeing none. Deb?
Counselor Williams,
Yes.
Counselor Hansi,
Yes.
Counselor Purser,
Yes.
Counselor Parrish,
Yes.
Counselor Quigley, Counselor Miller.
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0.
All right, with that, we'll do the swap over on calls.
Okay,
And
I will be
Deb, I'll take a note
coming
on
back
timing.
in.